thefanatic.com. One winner will be selected at random and will win $1,000 in this company-wide contest. Winner will get a call from Beasley, so make sure you answer your phone. Complete rules are at 975thefanatic.com. 97.5 The Fanatic signing bonus is presented by Rand Spear, the accident lawyer. Demand Rand for justice. Please never text and drive. Remember, gifted to 45911, and good luck.
Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Good Wednesday morning, Delaware Valley and beyond. Hope you have a great hump day today, and we're here to help you get through it from 10 to 2. Bob Cooney here, middays, joined by the lovely, the gifted, the sunshine, Amy Fadul.
That's what I'm here for.
That's right, in her Sixers sweater today. Looking ready to go for tonight's big game.
Big game tonight.
Raymond, good to see you. Hope you had a great night last night.
I did. Don't you worry.
He did a little trivia thing last night. They did pretty well. Music stuff. Maybe we'll talk about that.
No, we did not do well, but it's okay.
You had fun.
I had a great time.
If you have fun, that's doing well to me.
Yeah, there you go. That's a win.
Yeah, because, Aim, I think I've told you my theme in life is fun is the best thing to have.
Truly is.
And I'm going to have that on my tombstone. Fun was the best thing to have, and then it'll say until yesterday.
And there'll be a little place for you to park your beverage when you visit.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not going to get into. I already did this with Ray, and he got all yucky. So
no, please none of this.
No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk about how I'm going to have a keg next to my casket. But that's all fun and games.
Why? We got to keep bringing that up.
We're not keep bringing it up. I just wanted to remind you. What's not a sad thought is what's going on in the Philadelphia sports world, both yesterday and what we have going on today. So it is our front page news.
Now, the front page. The stories everyone's talking about. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Well, we're going to begin with your Philadelphia 76ers as tonight they take on the Miami Heat. 7 o'clock, play-in game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to remind you that we will have a pre- and post-game show. So from 6 to 6:50, right up until game time, Pat Egan, D. Lynam, and myself will be down at the Wells Fargo Center, right at the BetRivers.com bar. So if you get a chance, it's like right near section 106, 107. If you get a chance, come on over, say hi. We'll be doing pregame from there before the Sixers take on the Heat. Also, there will be a postgame with Pat and D following, and I might do a phone in because I got to get home and get my sleep. Joel Embiid, full practice yesterday, which we love to hear. The last time these two teams played, Sixers did not have Tobias Harris, won the game 109-105. I bring this up because we've been questioning starting lineups. Well, last time they played, the starters for your Sixers were Maxey, Lowry, Embiid, Oubre, Batum. I would assume tonight, and we'll talk about this all day long with Amy, I assume Tobias Harris will be in for Batum tonight. Batum will be the first guy coming off the bench. Smaller lineup. Sixers have to get out on some three-point shooters. I assume that's how they're going to start. But last game, with that lineup without Tobias Harris, the Sixers jumped out to a 17-2 lead. Really good start with the starting lineup you had last time. They were down 102-94, the Sixers were, with 6:28 to go. This is pretty interesting here. They then went on a 9-0 run with a lineup of Maxey, K.J. Martin, Paul Reed, Oubre, and Kyle Lowry. Embiid came in for Reed at the 3:30 mark with the Sixers having a lead, and they rode it out and won the game. Big story for tonight. I mentioned this last week, how much Terry Rozier kind of bothers me with this Miami team. Kind of that guy that, he's a pain in the butt. He makes plays. Well, he's out tonight for the Miami Heat. He averages 19.8 points a game, 5.6 assists, 36% three-point shooter. Him being out tonight is big. The Sixers are going to have to key on that. We'll get all into that today, which is going to be a lot of fun. Your Phillies, Ranger Suarez. That's all we need to talk about. 9 innings pitched, 7 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, 112 pitches. I loved it. I was surprised he came out for the 9th inning. After the 8th got done, he kind of walked off slowly. I think he thought his night was over. And then gets into the dugout. I guess they talked it over. 112. He's stretched out. He's ready to go. Bryce Harper, I'll tell you what. You're looking for him to turn things around. He had a great at-bat on his double. He got down 0-2, fouled a couple of pitches off, then went to left center field, got himself a double, drove in a run because Trey Turner had doubled before him. Later on, Bryce Harper gets you a home run to left field, to right field, a laser shot. JT Realmuto also homered. Trey Turner, 2 more hits, hitting .310 on the year. If this offense starts to sputter, it looks like you have a leadoff hitter. But we're not going to get into that. 71% of Rangers' pitches last night, 71% went for strikes. It was awesome. Tonight you have Christopher Sanchez versus Ryan Feltner in the closer, 6 o'clock game against the Colorado Rockies. Your Philadelphia Flyers, well, their season is over. 2-1 loss to the Capitals, but it actually ended a couple of minutes before that game was even over, as you saw the Detroit Red Wings score with 3 seconds to go. They eventually beat the Montreal Canadiens, so the Flyers are out of it. I was a little disappointed, and we'll talk about this too. We'll talk about the season as a whole because I think that's how we have to look at it. But I texted Ray in the middle of the game. I said, my God, this is a boring game. The Flyers didn't have jump early on it was kind of like Amy just made this hand signal like, let's go, let's go. That's exactly how I was feeling. I just didn't, and the announcer said, Jim Jackson and Brian Boucher last night said, yeah, this is the way Washington makes you play. If you're looking for a playoff spot, I don't want the other team to make you play the way they want to play. I want you to be out there and being the one that makes them, go to your speed. It didn't happen. Once they tied at 1-1, the Flyers, they did get jumped. They tied at 1-1 about midway through the second period, but it just wasn't enough. They needed to win the game in regulation. They pulled the goalie with about 5 minutes to go. Capitals score. They win 2-1. Eagles, Howie, and Nick Howie talked yesterday. Nick Sirianni watched and sprinkled in some things. Now, John Kincade brought it up and said, like, they've neutered him. They've done that. I think it's just Howie's season. If you're talking draft, if you're talking trades, if you're talking free agency, that's Howie's season to me. So that's okay to me, that's okay that the head coach is sitting on the side, just, taking it all in. Yeah, give me whoever you can get, and then I'll coach them. I'm all right with that. On the national front, the Lakers beat the Pelicans last night. Weird game. I watched it early, and the Lakers built up like an 18, 20-point lead right around there. Went back, obviously we had to tune in the Flyers and Phillies and all. Go back to that game, and it's like a 4-point game, a 2-point game, and Zion Williamson is going nuts. 40 points, a bunch of rebounds, bunch of assists, goes up with a game-time basket with about 3.5 minutes to go, comes down, no good, takes him to, a timeout was called. He goes down the tunnel, leg injury. He was out. Lakers go on to win that. The Kings eliminate the Golden State Warriors on a night where Klay Thompson went 0 for 10 from the floor. So the Kings advance. The Warriors are out. Tonight, of course, you have your Philadelphia 76ers and Miami Heat, followed by the Chicago Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks. But so talking about the Sixers today, we're having somebody on the show who actually played for Eric Spoelstra in the NBA. Nick Stauskas, former 76er, who was in the league for a lot of years. He's going to join us around 11:30. He's got some home duties with his little girl. So he's trying to balance out when it might be quietest in the house. And
Nap
Amy,
time.
you and I can appreciate
Nap
that.
time.
And Matt Breen will join us at 1 o'clock to talk all things Philadelphia sports. So there is your front page news, Aim.
Front page.
Yeah. So what was your last night like, watching whatever you
busy.
watched and all that?
Watched
Okay.
it all. Watched it all. Had the Lakers game on a one television. Checked in on that. Flyers on the one. Also on it. That was actually streaming. That was on my iPad. And then Phillies game on my main television.
Look at you.
Listen, you live in our household. It's sports, sports, and more sports. That Phillies game flew, though. Flew.
Well, Ranger Suarez had I think it was in the 6th inning, and he had 64 pitches.
It was barely 8 o'clock at that point.
And it was cool because he was throwing the ball over the plate, but he was throwing it in such a way that the other team couldn't back foot and just start teeing off because he was hitting his spots.
It's interesting. We mentioned it yesterday on the show. What a revelation this guy has been overall in the course of his, Phillies career the last couple of years. A guy that you brought in. Hey, maybe you could be a bullpen guy. Maybe you could be a long reliever. Oh, you can be a spot starter. And now you look at him as the third guy in the rotation, a very reliable third guy in the rotation.
Yeah, and you got Christopher Sanchez going today, and it's like, it's your 4th or 5th starter, whatever it is. He's 0-2 this year, but he's got like a 3.4
Yeah.
5 ERA,
He's
3.43
pitched well.
ERA.
He hasn't gotten a lot of run support, which we've seen.
Yeah, which has been kind of the
Theme.
theme here. So hopefully Bryce Harper turned it around last night. Like I said, really good at bat. I'm watching. I'm like, this guy's battling.
Mm-hmm.
This is bound. This could be maybe a turnaround to his lack of hotness at the plate. And sure enough, gets a double to left center field. I always love when a guy's slumping, has a good at bat, and goes the opposite way to get a hit.
I just think it means, and it feels them, they get a little rewarded for that, right? A good at bat, the struggles that they've been, that's a reward right there. You didn't just like poke it through. It's not an excuse me single. It's a solid opposite field hit.
Yes, and then he goes yard later. So good night for the Phillies. Hopefully they finish out this sweep of the Colorado Rockies tonight, off tomorrow, and then start a 3-game series, I believe, with Chicago White Sox
This weekend.
on Friday night. All right, you had an interesting thing that you did yesterday, and you didn't even know I was going to bring this up, but you came in this morning, and you're like, yeah, this is what my house is like.
Yes.
So your son, 9 years old, who is a huge sports fan, and put some stock in this kid because he's going to be an all-state, probably football, baseball, basketball player. The kid is just phenomenal. I love when you send out tweets and all that stuff. But you had an exercise with him. Is he worried a little bit about the Miami Heat?
So he tends to lean into the negadelphia more than I would like. I am a generally positive person. I think the glass half full. He tends to, I don't know about this, and he gets nervous. And so we were talking.
That's good. It's a good balance.
It is a good balance. I try to balance him out, but I try to bring him a little bit into the light. Like there could be some joy. Let's try to enjoy this. And so I'm positive. I have a positive outlook about the Sixers and the Heat tonight. So we were talking about it last night when I got home from work, and he's like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know. I was like, well, what don't you know? Let's go line by line. Let's go position by position, player by player, and tell me why you're concerned.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you know what every guy out there is thinking right now? God, I wish I had a mom like her.
Or not. I don't know. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Maybe they just want to have their opinion be heard, and their mom say, you're right, and then you move on. Meanwhile, I'm challenging him every step of the way. And so he says, Jimmy Butler. I get it. Jimmy Butler, let's go. Jimmy Butler, how many points do you think Jimmy's going to get? 30. Great. Okay, you think Jimmy's going to get 30. This is Shawnee Kane, 9 years old. 30. Give me the next guy. I like Bam Adebayo as much as the next person. I don't like him in this matchup. If this was any other matchup, I think Bam Adebayo could cook. Not going to cook. I don't know. Maybe he gets like 25. For the sake of argument, we're going to give Bam Adebayo against Joel Embiid 25 points. Not going to happen, but let's do it. Now we're up to 55. Who you got? Terry Rozier. No, you don't. Oh, there goes your 20 points from Terry Rozier.
Big loss
Gone.
there.
Big loss. 20 points, right? 19.8?
Yeah.
Okay. He's like, who's the backup to the backup? Patty Mills. Patty Mills turned 75 years of age.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not happening.
No.
Tyler Hero. Great. Love Tyler Hero. He's not going to get you 50 points.
I kind of cringe when you say you love Tyler Hero. I'm sorry. I know he went to the same college as you did, Kentucky, all that. I cringe when you say it. Like there's a little something in the back. And I've never cringed at anything you've ever said or done.
Do you not like him as a player?
I want to punch him in the face every time I see him. He's a punch-the-face kind of guy for non-Kentucky people.
Yeah. Well, I get that. I get a punchable face. I get that from him.
Oh, okay. I thought you said I got a punch. I was going to say, you do not have a punchable face. Yeah, Tyler Hero, punchable face guy.
But, yeah, I enjoy his basketball scene. I think he's a good player. He can score points. Obviously, he's coming back from injury. I think he's done well, whatever. So, all right, so let's give him 18 points. We're not even at 75 points at this, or 80 points at this point, right? I think we're at 80, maybe 82. So my point is they're not going to be able to stack up. And so I think I talked him into it. He still is trepidatious, but he wore his Joel Embiid jersey to school today, so we're in good shape.
Good.
He's on positivity.
Yeah, I like that you talked that. So I brought up the Terry Rozier thing. There's always somebody on another team. Kyle Lowry was it when he was with Toronto. That just, this guy's going to hurt you somehow. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, they've been those guys for the Heat for a few years now. Then they bring in Terry Rozier this year, and I'm watching the Heat in games, not even against the Sixers. I'm like, this guy's going to be a pain. I can just feel it. And him not being there tonight. Am I overstating it? Is it that big for?
It's a
really?
big factor.
Okay.
I think because he's such a reliable scorer for them. He's a volume guy, right? He's going to put up a ton of shots. So just by percentages, he's going to make, whatever of those 40%, he's going to score 20 points for you without even really doing a lot as far as like making you work for it defensively. That's just who he is. And so for him not being in there, I think is a really big boost for the Sixers. They can't get overstated because there's always some random Jaime Jaquez is going to come in all of a sudden. Where did this guy come from? Duncan Robinson. There's always a guy that steps up for them, but it's interesting. they're going to run out of people. Their bench is not as deep as the Sixers. They will run out of people. I feel that Eric Spoelstra has this well covered. It's not like this is the first game Rozier's missed. They've obviously had him miss the last, 4 or 5 games at this point. So they're well versed in how to overcome. It's a big loss. You cannot understate a guy. We called him Scary Terry when he was with Boston. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought Jaquez up because I remember watching him at UCLA. And very good player at UCLA. And you probably do the same thing that I do while you're watching college games. Ooh, how does their game fit in the NBA? Mm-hmm. And I remember watching him more than a few times and saying, this guy's going to be kind of a pain in the butt in the league. And then I go to, he'll probably wind up with the Celtics because they're always the biggest pain in the butt. No, he winds up with the second biggest pain in the butt, which is the Miami Heat. But I said earlier on the crossover with Kincade and Salciunas, Aim, what I'm going to be looking for early on tonight is the three-point line.
Absolutely.
How the Sixers defend it. Are they getting out there to it? And how is Miami defending it? I don't think Eric Spoelstra, from what I can tell in all the games that I've watched, he doesn't usually run that zone out there very early. It's let's play the man. Let's see what goes on in this game. I'll use it when and if I need it, but it usually comes later in the game. It might come later in the second quarter. Mm-hmm. You know, you're trying to get a little run before maybe you go into halftime. Third quarter's wide open. If the game gets out of reach a little bit, he's going to go to it.
Absolutely.
But you know he's going to use it at times. So I think early on, looking at the Sixers' three-point shooting, looking how they're moving the basketball, to me, that's going to be a sign early of maybe how this game is going to go. What are you looking for early on in this game?
I think a hot start. You mentioned the last time that they played and the hot start that they got off to. I think that's really key. One, you get the crowd into it, which I think is very important. You're home. That's one of the bonuses about being at home. You get the crowd into it. You take Miami a little bit off their kilter, and then you really can attack. But I think offensively you need to be volume. You need to get as many point possessions, get those possessions up. No slow start. You get up and down. Miami doesn't like to run that pace. They run a different pace than the Sixers. And I think the Sixers need to push it a little bit. I'd like to see as many possessions as they could, at least in the first 5 minutes. Really push the pace, knock down those shots, and then get back on defense and try to be a little bit more disruptive so you can get the ball right back. I just want to see a lot of possessions.
90 low 100 games is not good for the Sixers.
Yeah, no, you want to get those.
Right. Yeah, so you want to, if you're the Sixers, you want to be in the 1-teens, the 120s ideally. You want to outscore this team. Miami is this type of team. It's almost no matter who they have on the team, as long as they have Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler will say too. It's the little nuances of the game that you can't allow to become big things. And to me, it's like offensive rebounds. You can't allow Miami to get annoying offensive rebounds, right? A good possession, 20 seconds to go in the shot clock. They have to throw up a jumper. You can't allow Bam Adebayo to come out of nowhere and grab you an offensive rebound and give them another possession. 50-50 balls, obviously, I think are something that the Sixers are going to have to win more of. And with Kyle Lowry and Nick Batum, I get comfortable in that position with 50-50 balls. They just seem to know where to be.
And that's the thing, and that's why the Heat are so good at those, because they I swear they must practice those type of things. I think they definitely are always the one. It seems like you look over, you mentioned Bam Adebayo, he's a perfect example. All of a sudden you look, where'd he come from? How did he get that board? He wasn't anywhere near it. But they have a nose for the ball. But I think between Lowry and Batum, I think Kelly Oubre is a guy that like that too. He's just everywhere you need him to be. I'm not going to say that he doesn't make the mistakes at times, but I'll take a guy to make a couple of mistakes by being in the right position than a guy that's not there at all.
I'll take his mistakes because that's the kind of basketball I want him to play.
Yeah.
I don't want him to be the big thinker out there.
No, just be aggressive.
I don't need him to have his hand on his chin saying, how am I going to? No, give him the ball and let him do what he does. Now, obviously, you want him to be smart with it. You don't want him, going out of control, offensive fouls. I don't need him jumping in the air and then saying, oh, no, who am I passing the ball to? Like, those things you have to cut down on. But it's that fine line that I say, aggressiveness and being smart. Obviously, you'd love the balance, but a guy that's aggressive, you got to sometimes just let it go. He's the guy, right? He's the guy I think just let him go. Who's takeaway Embiid? Who is, and I'll include Maxey because he's had some tough games against Miami. Who's the biggest key for the Sixers tonight, and in what way?
So you say he's had tough games. He's had tough games.
He went 4 for 20 the one game,
The first game, okay? So he is the only player against the Heat this season to reach 30 points in 3 separate occasions.
Oh, how about that? Yeah.
Fun. There you go.
Yeah, you know what sticks out in my mind, and the reason I said
it's the Christmas game.
It's not only that. It's the Christmas game. It was that game that I described earlier where the Sixers were up pretty big, and then 17-2 to start. Miami takes an 8-point lead late in the game, 6 minutes to go. And the way they got there was they jumped Maxey with that zone.
Right.
And that's how they got back into it. Like, that's what's in my mind.
Head, yeah.
He wound up with, I think, 30
or 30. Yeah,
something crazy.
37 points, 9 rebounds, 11 assists.
I had an interesting text from one of my boys as I was coming in today, and we go at it back and forth about sports all the time. Maxey's a dime a dozen.
No.
That's his text to me. This guy is not a dumb sports guy, one of the smartest sports guys I know. Then he showed his, and excuse me, Rock, but I got to expose you. Then he showed his, he started comparing Ben Simmons and Tyrese Maxey.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for your friend.
His numbers it's interesting. Playoff numbers, it's pretty interesting.
You're a very small sample size.
Small sample size, and my comeback is always, okay, I'll just say this. One guy wants to play, and the other one doesn't.
One guy likes basketball, the other one doesn't.
I think I'll take the guy that likes basketball. All right, we have the great Amy Fadul in with us today. I want to know about tonight. I want to put this out there to you guys at 610-632-0975. What does this game tonight mean moving forward? I'm not talking about next year. I'm not talking about down the line or anything. I'm talking about now. What does it mean moving forward now? We know the playoff implications that are out there, win or lose, all that, but let's dive a little bit deeper into it. If you have any thoughts on it, we'd love to talk to you, 610-632-0975, or you can text my man Ray at that same number, and we'll get your thoughts out on the air. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, today joined by Amy Fadul, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers playing tonight. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Wendy's. Try the new limited edition Orange Dreamsicle Frosty at Wendy's.
with us, 10:30 this morning. Hump Day Wednesday. Hope you're all pumped up. For me, a work day always goes a little bit quicker when you have something to look forward to that night. Well, that doesn't make sense because the thing that you had to work forward to that night, I used to always be working on, like Amy's working on. Whatever. It's always the day makes the day go faster. Yeah, as you have the Sixers in their playing game tonight with the Miami Heat. We're joined today by Amy Fadul from NBC Sports Philadelphia. We love it when Amy's here,
And I love to be here.
Especially today on a fun Sixers Wednesday. My confidence level, Amy, is still really high. I didn't wake up feeling any different.
If you did, I could talk to you like I did to my 9-year-old and just go line by line.
You often talk to me from your 9-year-old.
That's true.
Yeah, so there's not much difference in that. But so we'll be hitting on all that today. Little Ranger Suarez, we'll give him some mention later on. We have Nick Stauskas joining us in about an hour. Former Sixer, a longtime player in the NBA, someone who actually played a little bit for Eric Spoelstra. So anxious to talk to him about the ins and outs of what Miami is. A reminder, the 10 o'clock hour, it's brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. All right, Aim, I'm going to jump to the phones a little bit here because I do have a subject that I need to bring up to you that maybe I am a little concerned about, and maybe you will have to talk to me like I'm a 9-year-old. Mikey on the cell. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Mikey?
Hey, how you doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, I'm feeling a little bit reminiscent. As last year, we started off the playoffs around this time, you know, and I just feel like tonight is honestly a do-or-die game. I feel like it's must-win, and I just say that because we all know that if we have to play the Bulls or the Hawks, we're going to have to face Boston in the first round if we win that game. And to me, we really need Embiid to kind of get his feet under him. And facing Boston would already be a tall task, but it's kind of a death sentence, I feel like, right now, like if we were to face it in the first round.
Is your death sentence with Boston, as you put it, would it be in any round or it's especially in the first round?
I'd say especially in the first round because Embiid has like 6 or 7 games under him, and like obviously we saw him hobble off the court against Orlando, and you know you just want to make sure that he's kind of feeling comfortable, got his legs under him, and everyone's kind of in sync before we face Boston. I think that gives us a better chance.
All right, Mikey, I like your thoughts there a little bit. I go some other ways, other times to. If they do have to face Boston, I'm not going to sit here and bitch and moan for 10 or 15 minutes, like has been done an awful lot. No, I'm just going to look at it, okay, where's your positives? What can you do? Why is it good to face the Celtics early on? I know that you want to face the best team as late as possible. I know that everyone here at the station, myself, as much as anyone, wants this Sixers team to be playing for months on end still. But if you do have to face the Celtics, something crazy happens tonight, and you do have to face the Celtics, okay, bring it. I can't sit here and bitch and moan for a half an hour about it.
I think the thought process is, all right, well, you get the Celtics after they're a little bit beat up, but obviously the flip side of it is you get the Sixers after they're a little bit beat up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So Joel Embiid, full participant at practice, shoot around today, stayed after shoot around, put up some shots as well. I mean, I feel like this is the healthiest Embiid is going to get is going to be at the beginning of the playoffs before he plays a game. So there is some thought process if something goes haywire today and they don't win the game. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not as concerned. I think the Celtics are the Celtics. They're the big, bad team of the East. We got that. We know that. Face them at some point, whatever. But I don't think I'm not any more concerned about them first or last. It doesn't matter. I'm always going to be concerned about them.
Yeah, sure. But, yeah, we have to concentrate on this Miami game is what we know and all that. First caller brought up the Celtics and all. But let's look to get past this Miami game tonight. And I know someone that's going to be there tonight who's going to come out and see our pregame show tonight, and that's Karate Mark. Karate Mark, you're on 97.5. What's up, buddy?
I'll be the one screaming 10-9-8 from across the room.
Yes, you will. You and your beautiful wife, Alicia, will be in attendance tonight.
Yes, we will. Bob and Amy, good morning. It's very nice to speak with both of you. I'm feeling great about tonight. You asked how we're feeling about tonight. I'm not skipping tonight, but I want to talk about a conversation that we're going to have tomorrow. And I really believe this. Amy, you hit it on the head about they're just not going to be able to keep up with scoring with us. I truly believe that. You counted them for, what, about 70 points? Mm-hmm. I got Joel and Maxey for 58 to 63 with just the two of them. And we got a great supporting cast that has been on fire for, 8, 9, 10 games now. I'm just feeling very, very good about tonight as far as talent and matchup. But I think the conversation tomorrow and where the fans are going to feel really good going forward and where the players are going to feel really good going forward, I think tomorrow the conversation is going to be how easy Nick Nurse made it for the players. We got a chess match going on tonight against the coach of Miami, and we got two kings. We got two kings battling on the chessboard tonight, and I think our team is going to win easily, and I think the conversation will be how easy Nick Nurse made it for them.
Wow. And I got to tell everybody out there, Mark, you are a season ticket holder. You're there all the time. You're one of the biggest Sixers fans I know. I have run into you and talked to you many, many times when the Sixers are playing a game that night where you didn't feel confident. So this isn't just you being a biased Sixers fan. This is how you truly feel.
I do. The talent, the matchup, it's there. And Nick makes it easy tonight because Spoelstra, he's going to play his game. It's not going to be a pushover game, but it will be an easy win.
All right, Mark, can't wait to see you out there tonight. Please stop by as soon as you get in the building. We will be there. Can't wait to run into you. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. So, Aim, let's look at different scenarios. This is what I wanted to bring up to you. And, Nick, we'll get to you in a couple of minutes. But I wanted to bring up to you, how tonight plays out and what it might mean moving forward. So let me throw some scenarios out there. We are a very reactive town. You know that. You've been here for many years doing what you do so well and have been among the people. And you and your, what do you call them again?
The sickos?
The sickos, yeah. You and your sickos.
Raise
you go
a
to,
sicko with me.
Yeah, raise
That's
a
right.
sicko, yeah. You and the sickos have a special bond.
I love them. I'm one of them.
So, God forbid, a loss tonight by your 76ers. You still have a home game on Friday night. You win that, you get the Boston Celtics. How deeply down in the fields does that get this city should somehow they lose? And I'm not just saying losing tonight. I'm saying, moving forward for this playoff, whatever run may be.
It would take a lot of air out of the balloon, I think. It wouldn't defeat everybody. It would be, I think eventually people would, all right, we won on Friday. If it comes to that, let's go get focused. But, yeah, I mean, we just talked about it. The Celtics are Daryl Morey said it yesterday on this very show. They are the cream of the crop. Everybody else, he's not really concerned. Not that he's overly concerned
Right.
about the Celtics, but if there's some team that's going to give him pause, it's the Celtics. There's no other team, I think, more than just a glance of okay, they're an opponent. We're going to value them and respect them, but whatever. No, it would take some air out of the balloon because you have to face the Celtics anyway. You just don't want to do it from the jump because we want to have a long playoff run, and I think it would be a little bit defeating to have to face them in the first round, given the excitement. You finished the season on an 8-0 run.
Right.
Through no fault of your own, really, when you think about it, you got the 7th seed because of the way the cookie crumbles in the third tiebreaker with a 3-team tiebreaker, and it's the Magic won their nonsense division in the Southeast, which is nonsense, the worst division in, I think, in all of basketball. So, whatever. That's how it happens. It would be a little bit defeating, but I do think that people would come out, and I think that the team would respond in kind. I think Nick Nurse loves a good challenge. This team knows they have to beat the Celtics, so I think they would recover. The initial thing would be a real deflating, and then I think people would puff back up.
Okay, and that's the only time I'm going to bring up the negative part of what could be moving forward.
We're not going to focus on it.
And no, we're not focusing, but it's a reality.
Yeah, you have to mention it.
And it's a reality that you still have another game to play, and you would still have a series should you win that next game. I think anything else is a positive. I feel like they're going to win big tonight. I said pretty comfortable, double-digit win. I think that you're going to come out of the game tonight and say, yep, Sixers were the better team. Whether that's, if it comes out to be a 2-point win, bite your nails, Heat had last shot, they just missed it, Sixers win by 1. Any type of win is going to be great because Joel Embiid is coming back. You're going to be looking at him. It's the first time they've all played together. I'm not going to say they're excuses. That's reality.
Yeah.
No, if you win this game, the reality is, wow, this team hasn't played together. Nick Nurse hasn't had these guys together before. This is something different, and the Joel Embiid injury, so on and so forth, and now DeAnthony Melton not being there. So anything else, to me, is a real positive scenario moving forward, right?
Has to be a positive because you're going to learn so much about your team. You're going to get the experience. Then you're going to go forward, and you're going to you win tonight. Then you have those extra days off, and then you prepare for the Knicks, a team you're very well versed against, on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick on the cell. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Nick?
Nothing, man. Just listening to your guys' conversation. So I feel positive heading into this game on many reasons. Like the caller just mentioned before me, he mentioned about Nick Nurse. How if the conversation tomorrow, like he's the reason why they got him there. And then you got all these good role players that are helping around, Embiid and Maxey, and that really takes a difference. And for me, I really think, that pickup that we got, for Kyle Lowry, that really made a difference, So when you get all those things together, and to me, I think all around right now, I think Philadelphia is a much better team than Miami right now. I mean, we haven't seen a consistency from, their role players like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and vice versa. I mean, because it's just been a two-man show over there with, Jimmy Butler and then Bam Adebayo, and that really takes a difference. It can't be just two guys. It has to be all. And the Sixers have that all guy mentality, So it really does, and so I really think we can win. But I do have like a connection to make. So like for me in football, I'm a Charger fan. So like each year, like when the Chargers would go into the playoff with a talented roster, I would feel the same. Like even if we are about to go play New England in the Tom Brady championship.
It's
team,
that winning mentality, right, Nick? I mean, that's what you're talking about in the Sixers. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. I think that's a key, though. He talked about the two-man game of Adebayo and Butler. Well, if you look at the Sixers, most people say the two-man game of Embiid and Maxey. It's the outlying factors there that might come in big into play tonight. Nick might be onto something there. All right, when we get back, we're still going to continue on with this Sixers stuff. There was something that was mentioned earlier that really kind of stuck in my head that I want to ask Amy about concerning tonight's game. We'll get to all that, all your calls, whatever you want to talk about, 610-632-0975. Hey, it's playoff day in Philadelphia, and you're going to have it right here all day on 97.5 The Fanatic.
The countdown to the NFL Draft is underway. Tonight at 6, check out the Birds Draft Special with Andrew DiCecco and Bill Colarulo. Insight and perspective you need to hear. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Guys,
with us on this playoff Wednesday. As the Sixers have the play-in tournament tonight, you have the Phillies going at 6 o'clock against the Colorado Rockies, looking for the sweep. We are joined by Amy Fadul today. I do want to remind you, we have a Mother's Day giveaway. That's right. If you head to 975thefanatic.com, you can enter for a chance to win $2,000 for Mom in the Mother's Day giveaway. It's sponsored by Polaides Florist. Make Mom's Mother's Day special with beautiful flowers from Polaides Florist. Now with 3 locations to serve you, visit PolaidesFlorist.com. That's Polites Florist.com. May 12th. Amy reminded me, Mother's Day, May 12th.
May 12th.
Big day in your household.
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
It's a beautiful day always.
You'll probably be working.
I hope I'll be working.
Yeah.
Gladly be working.
We all hope that we'll be. That's funny. I was talking to Scott Masteller, our boss, yesterday after the show, and we were going back and forth on ideas and different stuff like that. And at one time he goes, Are you okay to work some like pre and post game? And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Please?
You better put me on every pre and post game because
Please?
yeah, that's what we do for a living. Absolutely. So a reminder, we are going to be doing pregame tonight from the Wells Fargo Center, Bet Rivers bar, I guess we could call it. It's right at section 106, 107 on the concourse there. Pat Egan, D. Lynham, and myself will be there for starting at 6 o'clock, a pregame show. Pat and D will have a postgame show. From there, I will be calling in because I have to get my jammies on at 9:30, something like that, get myself ready for Betty Bye. So we have that all night tonight. A reminder also, not only do you have Sixers Miami tonight, 7 o'clock here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Should the Sixers win tonight, the schedule is out. Saturday, 6 p.m.
Love the time.
Amy, as soon as I heard it, I was driving in today when I heard it. I was like, oh, that's perfect. Me and Fadul were totally on base with 6 o'clock on Saturday.
We talked about it yesterday.
Not too early.
Not too early.
Not too late.
Enjoy it. Can enjoy some beverages if you're so inclined.
If you're not working.
Yeah.
Yes. It works out for me.
It does work out for you.
Because I'm only pregame, I think.
Yes.
We still haven't worked out all the ins and outs yet. But, you.
Post-game bevies?
Yeah, it's cool. You do your postgame, and then I know you and Jimmy hit the town a little bit and go from there and march.
Little Mad Dog?
Yeah, you know it. Well, Mad Dog will be saved for the Eastern Conference Finals there. They go to the NBA Finals. The Eastern Conference Finals, if they beat the Celtics or whomever in the Eastern Conference Finals, you can count on a Mad Dog appearance on the postgame show.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
So you've done that before. And usually I'm working. So you've done Mad Dog on the post?
He doesn't know.
I don't know.
So this is after. So the Eagles, Super Bowl day, and a crazy day here in Philadelphia. Best day.
Yeah.
Best day ever. Well, it started at NBC Sports Philadelphia early. We did we did shows all day.
Yeah.
So starting at 9 a.m. We were on the air for 5 hours at 9 a.m. So can you come in, Aim, at 8 a.m. and do the shows in the morning? Absolutely. I'm in. We've got the guys out there, good times. But not the problem is, one of the things was I did the post game show. So there was the post game show with Michael and all the guys.
Right.
I did the show after that with Barrett Brooks and Seth Joyner. So they're out there. So I'm in studio, and I know I have to start the post-game show because of how it works with you can't be on the set out there because the set was inside the arena up there in Minnesota.
Right.
You couldn't be there while they're still broadcasting. So as soon as the game ends, we go on. That's how post-game works, right? Game ends, boom, here we are. So I'm sitting up there, and I'm wearing a green full-length sequin gown. As soon as Brandon Graham did the strip sack of Tom Brady, put the gown on, let's go. It's celebration time. We're celebrating, and I'm dressed up. And we have a bottle of champagne. And we thought, in case they don't win, we need to have a backup. So we chose Mad Dog for that one. Orange Jubilee, in case anybody's wondering, because that's the best flavor, right, Ray?
That's right.
So, but we were so joyful, we drank the champagne.
And the Mad Dog.
And then by the time I got to the post-game show, the Mad Dog. So there's a picture out there on the internet. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to make sure the label is being seen. When you're in television, we have something called a return. There's a television in front of you so you can see what people see at home. I'm trying to make sure the label, to people appreciate what the Mad Dog is. And now there's this TikTok phenomenon where people are trying it for the first time, younger people, and they have no idea what Mad Dog is, which is amazing. It's so great.
Is that when you first tried it, Ray?
I first tried it. When did I turn 21?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
That's right.
whatever
Ray's
that
mom and
was.
dad listening. I already got him in trouble a few times on
We're
this.
not going to go back down that
There's a
conversation.
picture of me in my green sequin gown holding the Mad Dog And
So wait, were you in Minnesota or are you here
no,
in the studios?
I'm here in the studios.
Okay,
I'm
I
here
got
in the
you.
studios. Oh, if it was in Minnesota, all bets are off. I don't have to pass through anybody to say, "Can I drink on set?"
I got to tell you, when the Super Bowl's coming and we're making plans here at the station, and at the time Anthony and I were the morning show, and they said we're sending you guys out to Minnesota, and we were like cool, and both Anthony and I are looking at each other like, but what?
It was great to be here.
We want to be home for
Yeah.
the Super Bowl. Like we don't want to be there. We weren't guaranteed tickets or anything like that. So sure enough, the company was great. Joe Bell and all. They're like, yes, you guys come home. We need you on the air Monday. Should they win on Sunday night? And sure enough, that's how it happened. And it was
amazing.
pretty wild.
Yeah. That was my Mad Dog picture was, I believe, at like 2:20 in the morning, and then we came back for them landing. We did a show for them, the plane to land around 9 a.m. with Marshall Harris. It was amazing. It was the best 48 hours of all time.
It was pretty cool. I believe someone else who used to work here with the initials JL and I, after doing the morning show, we looked at each other and we're like, I guess we got to go out and get beers, right?
Yep.
So I think we were sitting at an establishment. What time do you open? Knocking on the
Hello.
door. They're like, how many of you? Two.
Come on in.
All right, come on in. Yeah,
Come on
we'll
in.
open
We'll
now.
turn your
so.
money away.
Oh, those were the days,
so
and
that's
maybe some
that's
good
why
days
Ray-
coming.
That's why Ray mentioned the Mad Dog.
Ray was on the Mad Dog.
He
All
knew
right,
it.
we come back. We are going to talk a little bit of Eagles because Howie Roseman spoke yesterday. You had Nick Sirianni pretty much listening, which I'm okay with. But let's go over a couple of things that Howie had to say because there is some interesting stuff. And Howie got a little squirrely and didn't care for it at all. I was in the car when I heard it. Didn't care for it a little bit. He needs to be righted on that one. All that, a whole lot more. Midday shows, Bob Cooney. Today we're joined by Amy Fadul, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers eat tonight. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by BQ Basements. Now Groundworks. If your basement or crawl space smells musty
Amy Fadul, the drunk girl of the airwaves, as we all know,
I mean, that
Mad
is
Dog
hilarious.
Master.
She
showed me a
I take
picture.
a couple
My
of
God,
drinks
Fadul.
of Mad Dog years ago after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Like a little sip of the Orange Jubilee.
Half the bottle was gone.
I wasn't alone.
Oh yeah, sure. I
Danny
heard nobody else.
Pondell was there.
I heard nobody else even got close
There
to
was a
it.
couple of people in the newsroom that never had it, so we let them try it. Doug Brown tried it. It was amazing. It was a great night.
You
It was
never
2
just
o'clock.
have a few sips. The Orange Jubilee. Come on. Come on.
I've been lucky enough. Now, you hate to see people go away, take other jobs, whatever it may be. Amy and I have been to more than a handful of goodbye parties to people, that were either going to new endeavors or whatever. I will say, you're right. Amy does not just have a sip. Because she's a gracious guest
cocktail.
and very, very fun. Yes.
Two-can Amy.
Toucan Amy?
Just the two.
Okay, if you say so.
Yep.
Hey, I wanted to let you know that the 11 o'clock hour, it's brought to you by Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. All right, we were talking about this during the break game. Before you worked here in Philadelphia, you were down south.
South of here. I was in Baltimore.
Right, down south in Baltimore. Those Ravens, for a long time, were GM'd by a Hall of Famer GM, an unbelievably good GM.
I mean, they won the draft a lot. They always They found some great talent down there. Ozzie Newsome.
Then you come up here, and you said, oh, cool, Philadelphia, also a really successful football organization. This is going to be great. You first laid eyes on Howie Roseman. He doesn't look like Ozzie Newsome, who was a tight end in the league, who I watched play for years and years and years.
Actual Hall of Famer.
Actual Hall of Famer.
Yep.
And look, our first thoughts aren't, they're just the first thing. You see Howie Roseman after Ozzie Newsome. What was your first thoughts?
I can't say that the confidence level. I was like, oh, this is the general manager. That's an interesting turn of events for me.
And we only say it because if we brought that up to Howie Roseman, he would probably chuckle and say, I don't compare to Howie Roseman.
Well, that's why, looks are deceiving. Obviously, Howie Roseman has done exceptionally well, certainly recently in the draft. He's had his, moments. We all have. But overall, I think that you would say he's done. And this is, you mentioned it earlier, this is his time of year. This wheeling and dealing, the extensions and making everything work, draft time. This is when he really cooks. So, yeah, but it was interesting. I'd come from that. And I knew a little bit about, because John Harbaugh was in Baltimore. So when he found out that I was moving up to Philadelphia, he gave me the lay of the land and told me everything about this. And he did a lot. He ran his practices a lot like Andy Reid ran his practices. Yeah. So there was a lot of carryover in that regard. But he was very kind and very gracious, to kind of give me a little bit of the inside scoop when I first moved up here. But yeah, I come from Ozzie Newsome, who you could sit and talk to, and you could talk to Howie Roseman, but I didn't know that at the time. I'm thinking, okay, well, this guy looks like a numbers guy.
Yeah. Well, he's probably a little bit of that, too, and we know he's a great money guy and a great contract guy, as he proved the other day by getting Devontae Smith the contract when he did, because Adam Schefter on the Kincade and Salciunas show today said it was a great move simply because of the timing, because you have a bunch of wide receivers, and Schefter named them all this morning, and it's all your higher-end wide receivers are pretty much due contracts this summer. So that market is going to go through the roof. So good for Howie getting Devontae Smith done. So yesterday was a press conference down at the NovaCare Complex. Howie sitting on the dais along with Nick Sirianni after Devontae Smith talked. But I heard the morning show not complaining, but saying like, it looks like Sirianni's been neutered. They don't want to talk. They don't want him talking anymore. I said this on the morning show before we split up and all. I don't think this is Nick Sirianni's real time to talk. This is Howie Roseman time. That's why I don't need to hear from Howie Roseman during the season. I need to hear from Nick Sirianni because it's X's and O's time. This is draft. This is free agency. This is trade time. So that's why I like to hear from Howie Roseman. Now, the biggest thing that has happened during this offseason, or one of the biggest things for the Eagles, certainly the biggest, am I overstating it by saying negative thing? The biggest negative thing in Hassan Reddick?
Yeah. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you overstating it? Yes, you are, but I like it.
You don't think it's a negative that they lost him?
I think it is a negative, but I mean, I think there's some people they're gonna think that's an overstatement. They think that he's easily replaceable. I don't think he's. I mean, is a 10-sack guy? You wonder if it's a win-win. I think that's TBD. Depends on what you get. If it turns into a second-round pick, maybe it will be. If Huff turns in to be that guy, then maybe it will be. But right now, it's not a win-win.
So, first question, or one of the first questions that was asked of Howie Roseman, and rightfully so, And Ray, if you can call that trade up for me, the exact trade for Hassan Reddick. He was asked, Howie Roseman was asked yesterday about the trade for Hassan Reddick. And here's what he had to say to the question.
What do you think the upside is for trading Hassan for the conditional pick a couple of years down the line?
Well, the pick's not conditional. We're getting a pick, so I don't really think I understand the question.
It's a third round from a second round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what do you think the upside is for trading Hassan with the year left in his deal in his prime for the pick that he's got?
Well, I think you're asking a question in a vacuum without all the other factors. So, I mean, if we want to talk about all the factors that go into building the team and the resources that we put into each position, we can do that. But I don't think the question's really fair and accurately describes the transaction.
What are you talking about? Now, if you feel that way, then explain it. Say, well, let's take into consideration that, I don't know, Hassan wanted a big contract. Mm-hmm. We weren't ready to big, and let the reporter say, well, you kind of gave a big contract to Bryce Huff, did you not?
Right.
And then say, well, it would have been different entities there and all mixing in, and the way that it played out and the way I constructed Huff's contract, yes, it is more beneficial to us. Why does he have to go asinine on that?
I think he should have been a little bit better prepared for a question like that.
Should I not? Was that an overstated word? Or?
Maybe, but he was too bristly. And I think that that's going to lead more to the questions of why the move was made. Then people are going to really read into it. If you had come out and said exactly how you put it, well, listen, for the long-term game where we think that this is going to turn out to be a nice player, we could get something for Hassan Reddick. It just wasn't working out for us. We weren't going to pay him. I think that he didn't want to throw Hassan Reddick under the bus for whatever reason, but you need to say something because right now it looks like you threw Hassan Reddick under the bus.
Yeah, so Ray, exactly how is the trade worded here? And I think they did this on the morning show also, so I commend them for doing it. But can you give me the wording of the trade to the New York Jets for Hassan Reddick?
Straight from PhiladelphiaEagles.com. So that nobody gets this one at all mistaken. The Eagles announced on Monday afternoon they have traded linebacker Hassan Reddick to the New York Jets in exchange for a 2026 third-round pick that can become a second-round pick if specific terms are met.
So the terms are percentage of plays and I believe a double-digit sack season.
Where did the question? How did the question not fully? I forget his exact words. Fully.
Well, he's like, well, it was a conditional pick. What do you mean? We're getting the pick.
It turns into a second.
Yes,
that's conditional.
It is called a conditional. He just meant it sounded like he was trying to be semantical of like, all right, well, the pick. It's not like we're not getting a pick. It's not like conditional. He was semantics.
Masterclass in dodging a question.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it was. It's I'm going to get you right there. You're actually wrong.
Which is disappointing because if he had just simply answered the question in any way, shape, or form, we wouldn't be talking about it. Like, all right, that's their stance on the Hassan Reddick trade. They didn't value him the way they value the pick, value Bryce Huff, value the contract, whatever. Say anything you want. But when he didn't say anything, now you're thinking, well, maybe they just didn't like Hassan.
So hear me out here. Great point. Hear me out here. This is what comes to my mind. I'm not here to bash Howie on his Q&A yesterday. That's fine. We've been through 1,000 of them, and sometimes you get the answers that you expect. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's better than you expect. Sometimes you get the squirrely ones. When I get the squirrely ones in my career like that, first thing that goes into my mind is you don't like how this played out. This didn't play out favorably for you. You're unsure of that. Now my wheels start turning into, wow, I got to keep an eye on this.
You start digging.
Right.
There's more questions raised by a non-answer. And if he had just given any answer, even if you didn't like the answer, we don't value him. We valued Huff more, whatever the evaluation was. Give whatever answer that you could. You need to say something. You can't then just break in semantics, say, well, conditional pick. We mean conditional based on second versus third round, right? And then followed it up with, do you see that that's a fair return on a player that's in his prime that just had a double-digit sack season for you, for a guy that is not as proven, and for a pick that's in 2 years, a 2026 conditional pick?
Yeah.
That was the question. I think it's a fair question. And then he says it's not a fair question because it's said in a vacuum, meaning that Howie wants to answer that question in 2026. You can't answer that question in because there was an evaluation process of the pick of Huff, of Hassan Reddick. There was that evaluation process. We're asking about it. He didn't answer it.
I would love to have heard names mentioned there also. You know how it is. Sometimes you'll ask questions, and in my past profession, what you do now, you have a story brewing in your mind of how things may go. Now, comfortably, we could go into press conferences and not have a story in our mind and then leave that press conference and say, I got it.
Here's my
got what I have. I would have loved to have heard him say, and you know what? This trade's going to be even better. We do need Nolan Smith to perform well.
Mm-hmm.
We do need Bryce Huff
to
up his
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Then I would have been like, oh, okay. It's not that you're putting the heat under the asses of those guys. No, it's more like I see what you see.
This is who I believe in.
This trade will be great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because we've got this, and this, and you start naming people to back up your position. But he didn't want to answer his position, and that's, there's a reason for that. We do not know that. You don't know the reason.
Yeah. I didn't love it. I got to tell you, I didn't love it. All right, later on, he was also asked about when you have guys with potential on your team. Now, I think we would all, Amy, categorize this Eagles team as a win-now type of organization,
That's how
right?
it's set up, yeah.
And that's fine. But at the same time, as a GM, probably as an owner, and Jeffrey Lurie, you also can't neglect looking down the line. So Howie was asked kind of the yin and the yangs of that and how you look at guys that may have potential.
This is the only profession where you take someone out of college and you expect them to be great. And if they're not great, you criticize them for not being great. We believe strongly that we have to develop these players, that they come in here with a skill set, but they're unfinished products. We have great support staff to help develop these guys. And so we know that all of them, like all of us, are going to have things they need to work on. And one of the reasons that we do these top 30 visits to get a head start on that. But I think that's the first thing. It's kind of here are the strengths, here are the weaknesses, how we can help them with the weaknesses, whether they're on the field, whether they're off the field, how we can support these people so they can reach their potential.
Okay. All right. Yeah. The one thing that I thought of was, as I was listening to him yesterday, I said, yeah, but sports is also the only profession where you take kids out of college and give them millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in football, I should say football, basketball, baseball. Hockey a little bit. Certainly not women's WNBA, as we saw Caitlin Clark's contract with. But anyway, I thought it interesting also when he's talking about growing potential people. Did that give us a hint into where this draft may go? Because we've talked about this, and we still do. There's a lot of corners there that could be right for the taking at 22 and all that.
They
have a lot of corners.
It screams lineman.
It
screams offensive
so they're
lineman.
setting us up for the part where Ray's head did you hear the groan?
Doesn't it, though?
He can't stand it.
Yeah, it screams Lane Johnson replacement. He can learn. We can grow him. We can develop him. We have some of the best evaluators. And Stoutland, he didn't say him by name, but when you're talking about a guy that's going to turn somebody into somebody, Jeff Stoutland University, as they call it, right? So to me, that was like, all right, here we go. Let's get our trenches going.
That entire answer was a load of crap. I'm sorry. This is the only industry where we pluck people out of college and expect them to be great. How much support staff do you guys have? And you're a public-facing forum. You guys are a public you guys are something that is representing something else. The money you get paid. I understand giving guys time to reach their potential. I'm cool with that. I'm excited to see these guys develop. But to go with the "woe is me" answer on the developing guys. You know how many people are there to support to try and get these guys to their full potential? What you represent as an organization? I bet the kids that I went to college with that went to, the Big Four or whatever, big business things. I don't understand how business works, but I'm sure they were expected to be great right away.
They were expected.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get hired at some accounting firm, they don't want you to go ahead and take tax season off their first year.
Yeah, I got Sixers fan 420 tweeting me if I'm not doing my job great, and I was plucked right out of college to do it. I understand that this is the NFL. It's tough, all those things. But the Howie Roseman, this is the only place in the world where it's so hard. Come on. Give me a break on this. You guys have done good at developing for a number of guys. But I don't need the sob story from Howie Roseman on that one.
He's setting it up for patience. Be patient.
I understand. He's setting me up to be disappointed by the draft. I'm already disappointed by that answer.
It kind of goes against the John Calipari story that I told you. I think I told you when he was coaching Memphis when I was covering a Final Four. And people asked him, yo, John, is this the way you're supposed to go, one and done and all that stuff? Isn't college supposed to be for the experience? He goes, let me ask you something. You had a kid going to college, and I told you that he's a biology major. You told me he's a biology major, and I said, okay, you have this one biology professor for 1 year, just 1 year. And when your son or daughter gets through that class, they're going to be making millions of dollars next year. Would you take that professor? And then Calipari goes, I'm that professor. Wow. And that's there it is. That's it in a nutshell. But So we want to hit a little on the Eagles. We have people on here saying, I can't believe they're talking Eagles today. You got Sixers tonight. Obviously Sixers is big tonight. But you had the GM of the team speaking yesterday. Thought it was wise to get into it a little bit. Eagles have a couple of, what do they have? Jalen Hurts or something talking today also, Ray? I forget. I know we brought it up real quick before the show. Was that today? I thought they were having a couple. You might not have been there when they, maybe it was Mike Vito that brought it to me.
Definitely.
Somebody said that, I thought they said that a couple of the Eagles were going to be available. Oh, Andrew sent it to me. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Jalen Hurts and a couple other players will be made available today at the Nova Care.
I think Cam Jurgens was speaking as of like 11-ish.
Okay. Do you find it odd that on Sixers Day that they're throwing people out there just like willy-nilly? Hey,
why do we need to hear from? And I'm always grateful to hear from Eagles, but it is a kind of a curious. Yeah. Why am I hearing from Cam Jurgens? The Devontae was timely. He had just signed the extension.
Absolutely.
Get it, locked him in. Hey, first time we're going to hear from Howie after Roseman or after Hassan Reddick was traded. Yeah. The draft is in 8 days. Yeah, I mean, don't I need to hear from next week? The draft week.
So it's interesting you mentioned that. He speaks yesterday. Today, ESPN puts out the story about Bill Belichick that specifically says Howie Roseman had a conversation with him this offseason.
Uh-huh.
Just interesting timing. When you hear from him before the draft.
Howie didn't know that story was coming out.
No, of course not. Yeah, I'm sure they had no idea that story was coming out.
Yeah, Adam Schefter spoke on that story this morning, just saying, hey, Bill's out there, and, of course, teams talk to him, and maybe the Eagles revisit it if something, whatever. But
if something goes wrong with the guy that was sitting next to Howie Roseman yesterday?
Yeah, so that would have been a little awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been weird to ask that question.
And maybe that's why Nick Sirianni didn't have a lot to say, because he's probably sitting there thinking, oh, my God, what if that story leaked before we got out here today and somebody has word of it? Uh-oh. But I thought yesterday was fine with that. The answers you can go over and all that stuff. So some more Eagles available today. We'll talk on that a little bit tomorrow. But it is Sixers Wednesday. Play-in game tonight. You can hear it, 97.5 The Fanatic, 7 o'clock. We will be doing a pregame show in the arena at Wells Fargo Center. Bet Rivers Bar. It's that section on the concourse section, like 106, 107, right there. Pat Egan, D. Lynham, and myself, we will be there pregame. Pat and D will be there also postgame. So if you have a chance, stop on by. It is playoff night in Philadelphia. And Dave wants to talk about it in Ben Salem. Dave, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey,
What's
guys,
up, buddy?
How are you? Good morning, Bob. Good morning, Amy. How you guys doing?
Dave,
morning,
you pumped?
Dave.
You psyched? You
I
ready
like
to
it.
go?
I'm very psyched. It's so great to hear Amy on the air with you guys. She's a great addition to the station.
She's all right.
So this is it, man. We got to get this game tonight. Yeah, I'm just looking at what's going to happen. Jimmy and Bam are going to score their points. But if we get the lead, we got to defend against the three. These three guys, Duncan Robinson, Tyler here, and Rozier can shoot the three.
Rozier's out tonight, Dave.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good.
There
he's
you
got
go.
he's got an injury.
Got a quick question for you, Bob. What do you think Nick Nurse is going to do with his playoff rotation? How many players do you think he's going to play tonight?
I think it's situational. You're going to get Paul Reed for 12 to 15 to sub in for Embiid for those times that he takes off. I think Nick Batum's going to be your main one off the bench. He'll probably get you 20 to 30, I'll say. I'll have to make it a little bit bigger because I think it's situational. Buddy Hield is going to be the real key, and Amy brought this up earlier in the week. Where does he fit in? How does he fit in? Is it a case that Nick Nurse looks at the game and says, you know what, this is Buddy Hield time? Is it before the game starts? He says, yeah, buddy, you're getting your 20 minutes tonight. Be ready for it. I'm going with you. We'll see. Campaign also has to be in the mix, too.
Listen, Bob and Amy, I work in section 117, 118, and I'm going to keep them fans as pumped up. I know they're going to be excited, and that's what I do when I'm down there every day. Just keep them going and keep that crowd energized, and that's what we're looking forward to. Let's get this game and get to the next round.
I like it.
Attaboy. I like it, Dave. Always love seeing you.
I can't wait. I'll try to stop by to see you tonight if I can, man.
Oh, thanks, buddy. We'd greatly appreciate it. Love, Dave. Dave works everywhere. He works at the Wells Fargo. He works at Citizens Bank Park. He's all over the place.
I like the
love
energy.
Dave. Love his optimism, too. I think there's a lot of that going on today. I was anxious to hear from callers today, and you can check in, 610-632-0975. Forget the Celtics. If there is a team that gives you pause for concern in the Eastern Conference, because of past history, because of Jimmy Butler, Eric Spoelstra, it's got to be the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
So we're anxious to hear from you today. How do you feel about tonight's game? Is there an overabundance of confidence? What do you need to see? What is the thing in the back of your mind that you say, oh, God, I can't see this because if I do, it's going to make me nervous on this game tonight? This is Middays Bob Cooney, joined by Amy Fadul here at 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers playing game tonight.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Welcome back to Middays. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it on this Hump Day Wednesday. Hoping the weather holds off a little bit today. So I was looking at it on my drive in because I was stuck not moving for like about 3 or 4 minutes. So I wasn't looking at my phone while I was driving. I just called up the weather app, and it looks like weather's moving in, a little bit of rain moving in today, aim like around 2 o'clock or so. These ball players have to be sick and tired of looking at the weather.
That's why the first week of the season in the Northeast, you start somewhere warm or with a dome. The first 2 weeks of April, not here in Philadelphia, not in New York, not Baltimore, you just start south. I don't like it for us. I want to have opening day here in Philadelphia, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal.
It's not. And last year they tried it with the Phillies starting down south, down in Texas, and they got shellacked by the Texas Rangers. And then they had a screwy thing that they had to go up and play the Yankees.
Now, that's a weird schedule.
Up in New York,
You're
yeah,
playing
so that
American
wasn't
League teams
nice.
from the jump. Don't like that. But
yeah, I remember an opening day 1 year long ago. Kurt Schilling was the starting pitcher for the Phillies. It was in L.A. It was at like 4 o'clock. It was beautiful sunshine.
lovely.
Schilling pitched a marvelous game. Phillies started out 1-0. Yeah, sunshine, warm weather, and baseball, that goes together.
Makes more sense.
Yeah, it is terrible that you have the season opening with you can see the breath coming out of the players' mouths, and all the masks everywhere, and even some games where there's snow coming down, and so that's just no fun. Don't like that at all. All right, we're waiting on Nick Stauskas is going to give us a call. Want to check in with him to see what he thinks about this Sixers-Heat matchup. And I brought up earlier in the show that one of the first things I'm going to be looking for is how the three-point line is playing out early on in the game. Is Miami getting open shots? Are they getting some of those, I don't want to call them killer early ons, but you know the feeling, Aim, when, I don't know, it's a good defensive possession by the Sixers, and all of a sudden a guy hits a Duncan Robinson, somebody else, a Tyler Hero, hits one of those one-footed, off-bounds kind of threes, and you're like
the shot clock expiring. You're like, really? You did all that work. Those are defeating. Those are defeating because you work so hard for that possession, and then you still come away with the 3 points going the other way. Yeah, they're not killers, but they're shots that you don't want to happen just because they're momentum breakers. And you want to have the momentum on your side. You want to start hot. You want to come out, show them, do not mess with us. We are not messing around. We are focused. We're ready to go. We're going to take care of you because we're on to the next.
Yeah, so that's just something that we have to look out for. I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. I was supposed to send something to Mr. Stauskas, and I failed.
The phone number for him to call?
Yeah, that's kind of it. So I'm letting you guys know. My fault. So hopefully he has that, and we'll get him on the line. I'm new to this, Aim. I'm just new to all this stuff, so that's why I'm messing up here. But let me ask you about Kyle Lowry. Hopefully I got it to him. I did. Right? We good, Ray?
We're good.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Let me ask you. Well, no, we'll do it after we talk to Nick Stauskas, but I want to put this into your head.
Okay.
And you can answer this after we talk to Nick, or maybe in the next segment. But at some point today before 2 o'clock, we're going to talk about this, and that is the Kyle Lowry factor of tonight's game in particular. I'm not going any further than just tonight's game. So that interesting conversation when we talk about the other people besides the main four, when you're talking Embiid and Maxey and Adebayo and Butler, the other guys that are there, there's been names mentioned, rarely has Kyle Lowry, so I want to get into that with you. But right now, on the Comcast Business Hotline, he's a father. He's a former NBA player. He's a Big Ten Player of the Year and one of my favorite people on earth. Nick Stauskas joins us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Bob. Good morning, Amy. It's good to see you guys, or good to talk to you guys at least, and thank you for having me on.
Oh, I'm so glad you could do it. I texted you last night. I'm sorry for the late notice, but I know you're on baby duty today, so it sounds like you may have a nap going on or something, Nick. What's the deal there?
Well, actually, I figured it would be best to be outdoors and
well done.
just let her run around.
Yep,
so,
distractions.
She's currently just rolling around in the grass.
Perfect.
And having a good time.
All right, good move by you. All right, Nick, let's dive into this Miami Heat Sixers game tonight. You know what it's like throughout your career, a one-night game where I don't want to say it's all or nothing because we know the ramifications, win or lose, but just talk about what the Sixers, in your mind, need to do. You're familiar with the Miami Heat. You spent a little time with Eric Spoelstra. What do the Sixers, what's most important for the Sixers tonight against this Heat team in order to move on to face the New York Knicks on Saturday?
Well, I mean, it's gonna sound cliche and kind of annoying because I feel like this is an obvious one. But I mean, man, if you have a healthy Joel Embiid, I feel like that's all you need. And I feel like that's been the biggest question mark, the past couple of weeks, and even as he's returned to play, is what's the status of his health coming into the playoffs? Because whether you want to make up other storylines or not, this team's only going to go as far as he's taken them. And a lot of that's just going to come down to his well-being and how many minutes he's able to play and how effective he's able to be on a night-to-night basis. And, Adebayo's a good defensive option on him, but, I mean, I've said it numerous times this year, a fully healthy Joel Embiid is the best basketball player in the world.
It's interesting when people look at this matchup, or these two teams, I should say, Nick, they always go back to, all right, you got Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra. You've got Joel Embiid and Nick Nurse. Have you remembered a time where there was two teams that were kind of feared around the league for their best player and their coach combination, and the fact that they're playing each other? I imagine this is exactly what the league wants when you think about it. But these are two teams that could really go on deep runs, and they just happen to be meeting tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, Miami showed it last year, going all the way from the play-in game to the NBA Finals. And, Bob, you mentioned I spent some time with the Miami Heat and Eric Spoelstra. And I got to say, I've never seen a coach as well prepared for even just regular season games as Spoelstra was. And he was a guy that was just so thorough and in detail with his scouting reports and preparation. So I'm sure, the Miami Heat will be, trying to be as well prepared as possible tonight. And, Nick Nurse on the other end is a guy who's, I think, around the league well respected as one of the best coaches that we have. And I think he's done a great job with the group he's had this year as well. So I'm looking forward to it. But, man, Miami, I just don't think they can score it well enough. Like, that's just the one thing that they've lacked all throughout the year. So I know Jimmy Butler's been a guy come playoff time where he can kind of flip on that switch and turn it up a notch. We've seen that from him before, but I'm taking Philly in this one.
So, Nick, you talk about Miami maybe not being able to keep up with the Sixers in scoring, so therefore you have to look at defense. And what Eric Spoelstra likes to do, as you very well know, is he throws out those zone defenses. And it's not you've been around, it's not all right, let's just try a zone for a couple of possessions and then we'll go back. He teaches it. They're very good at it. He has different ones to it. Why is it so difficult to attack his zone defenses?
Well, I think in general, a lot of guys get thrown off by zone defenses because you are a little bit more open than you normally are. And so there's almost this hesitation where it's like you almost feel like you can kind of get an open shot every possession, but and then some guys start overthinking it and you're like, oh, well, I don't want to shoot it every time I'm open. And that little bit of indecision and hesitation often throws off your rhythm. And you see teams kind of go through these droughts where, 4 or 5 minutes go by and, they're held without a field goal against that zone defense. So I think the main thing for Philly is, whether you're making or missing shots, you have to play with confidence and intent. And, you got to just shoot that thing when you're open. You got to be aggressive. And honestly, a lot of times use your same sets that you would use against a man-to-man defense, against a zone, and just try to attack it. Try to get into the paint, drive and kick. And again, when all else fails, give Joel Embiid the ball and let him go to work, because there's very few things his zone defense can do to slow him down.
You mentioned the points, and obviously the Heat took a hit with no Terry Rozier and his almost 20 points a game. And you're looking around, they always have a player that steps up, some guy that you're not as familiar with, and the Duncan Robinson type. And if you watch UCLA, you are familiar with this guy, but maybe not so much, Jaime Jaquez. Is there a player that you think on that team that the Sixers haven't maybe, or Sixers fans haven't accounted for, that could really kind of step? Because they're not going to outscore this Heat team. I mean, the Heat team is not going to outscore the Sixers, but they might have a guy that all of a sudden you're like, all right, well, wait a minute, this guy's he's on a heater right now.
Well, I think that's what Miami is so well. I mean, the Heat organization, that's what they're so well known for at this point. And I think it's hard for any of those guys to go under the radar, because they've just been so consistent with their draft picks and signings and having these under the radar players, if you will. that can make huge differences. And, Robinson is a guy that you mentioned that, was a huge part of in them making it to the NBA, making it to the NBA finals in both occasions. And he's a guy that can get hot quickly. They got a lot of guys, even a guy like Haywood Highsmith, who's, Delaware Blue Coats native right there. He's a guy that can come into the game and, he can change things with defense, with shot making, you name it. So, give credit to the Heat in terms of their front office being able to identify talent and put them in a position to succeed.
On that same kind of look, Nick, forget Joel Embiid and forget Tyrese Maxey because, those are that's the 1-2 punch the Sixers are looking at. Give me an X factor for tonight's game because I'm going to bring one up to Amy later on in the show. But on the Sixers side of the ball, give me an X factor, who you think it is, and what you need from them tonight.
Well, throughout the season, I was always mentioning DeAnthony Melton as an X factor, but I think heading into that last month of the season, just watching the confidence that Kelly Oubre was playing with, I think a lot of the Sixers' success depends on him and his ability to not only get to the rim and score, but knock down shots. Like we've seen on a number of occasions on the tail end of the season, him have games, 3, 4, 5, 6 3-pointers made. And that changes things for Maxey and Embiid specifically when you have a guy stroking it from the outside like that. So, I think for him to come in with this confidence and, chip on his shoulder, obviously he's on a minimum deal and he's out here trying to prove himself in the playoffs. I think, he's a guy that can really help this team, not only tonight, but moving forward as that X factor that on any given night can get you 20, 30 points and can change a game with his offensive abilities.
Maxey's not going to be an X factor, but he's a guy that hasn't had that playoff success like everybody has hoped. And we saw him take another big leap this year. Obviously, became an all-star, has been a very steadfast number 2, and at times in Joel Embiid's absence, number 1. Averaging tons of points, 50-point games. He's had 3 30-point games against this Heat squad. Is this going to be the Tyrese Maxey coming out playoff party?
Well, we've seen it with a lot of guys. The playoffs, it's like a trampoline. You can almost use it as a trampoline to superstardom. And you think back to even guys like Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell in the bubble duking it out with 50-point games back and forth. And it's an easy way for fans who are maybe not as familiar with you to kind of see you on that national stage. And it's a way to turn heads. Obviously, he has done enough where the league and, most basketball fans know about him. But especially with Joel Embiid's health kind of being in question here, it's a huge opportunity for Maxey in his career to kind of solidify himself as a superstar. And, we've seen when he's at his best, there's very few defenses in the NBA that can do anything to slow him down. And, playoffs, things do get ratcheted up a little bit with intensity and defensive effort, but he has the kind of skill set where even in a playoff game, he could go for 50 when he gets hot.
So, Nick, just to reiterate a last thing here, comfortable Sixers win tonight. How do you see it playing out?
Well, I don't see a comfortable Sixers win. I think this Miami Heat team, they're going to come out here and give everything that they got. I know Jimmy Butler's coming out here. I don't want to say with some bad blood with Philly, but those are things that I know he's always keeping in the back of his mind. So I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, but I think Philly's going to pull this one up. They're the better team here. I think they deserve that 7th seed, and I'm excited to see them make a little playoff run here.
All right, I'm finishing you out with a trivia question. Your last year,
I love it.
Your last year with the 76ers, 1916-17, you and I spent a lot of time together. How many different teammates did you have play on that process team?
Ooh, I'm going to go with 23.
21.
Wow.
Very good guess.
I was going to say 21. I was going to say 21, and I switched it.
You had 2 number 5s on that team. Name one of them. One was from Kentucky, and one was from Stanford.
I know.
We had a Tony Roten Jr.
Not on that team, no.
Oh, wait. We had is it Chasen Randall?
Very good. Chasen Randall from Stanford. The other one was Alex? Poitras.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You had some
My
names on
goodness.
that team, Nick.
Process Sixers.
Gotta love it.
God
Listen,
bless.
thanks so much for
Thanks.
joining us, Nick. We're going to make you a regular during this playoff run, so make sure you get your daughter down for naps at sometime
Or
between
playtime
10 and
outside.
2. Or playtime outside, yeah.
I got you. I learned from the best, Bob. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Nick.
Amy, I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day, and go Sixers.
Yeah,
Thanks, Nick.
absolutely.
Appreciate it. Nick Stauskas joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline. All right, when we get back, phones are open. Let's go. It's playoff night.
We're ready.
610-632-0975. I have a question for Amy that I started to tease a little bit. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to the Sixers-Miami Heat game tonight. This is Midday Show. Bob Cooney along with Amy Fadul today joining us. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Next up for the 76ers, the NBA play-in game as Philly hosts the Miami Heat. Tom McGinnis has the call.
for a regular season game. But I don't know. I was kind of like, oh, if the Phillies say we're going to move the game up a little bit, how about if we started at like 2 or 3 o'clock? You ride that Phillies game, boom, right into a Sixers game. Oh, that's the greatest, just for our viewership availability. But a reminder for tonight: your Sixers, Miami Heat, 7 o'clock. It will be broadcast right here on 97.5 The Fanatic from 6 to 7. We will have a pregame show. It will be myself, Pat Egan, D. Lynam. We will be down at the Wells Fargo Center, right at the Bet Rivers Bar. It's on the concourse at 106, 107. We'll be set up right there. You're more than welcome to come on down, say hello. We'll be there for the pregame. D and Pat will be there for the postgame. As I said earlier, I'll have to go. I'll be home. I'll be in my jammies, but I'm going to be calling in to the postgame show, so we'll give you our analysis of what we thought went on for the night. Mitch in Phoenix has been holding on a little bit, so let me get to him before we get into something else. Mitch, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, buddy?
Good afternoon, or what is it? Good morning there? I forget.
Yeah, it's still morning. Yeah, we're still, time difference.
Yeah, Nick Stauskas is only 30 years old. Maybe we would have suited him up for tonight.
Nick is officially retired.
Yes.
Yeah, he's gonna join us on our Sixers coverage, so we don't want him going anywhere.
Boy, he played for a lot of teams, huh?
Yes,
yeah, he did. Yeah.
Last night, I don't know, did you watch the Laker game?
I did.
I did.
I couldn't believe that Williamson went out with less than a minute left in the game.
Pretty badly hurt.
Yeah, he came down. Apparently, it's a leg strain that he's going to get MRI'd today. He had a great game, and thanks, Mitch. Appreciate it. 40 points, like 13 rebounds or 11
disappointing because you would have liked to seen Zion, I think, play a little bit more. But listen, he's a tremendous player. Injuries happen. Unfortunate in that one. Lakers now get to match up with the Nuggets. There was some talk. Do they tank in order to not play the Nuggets?
Yeah, I am so – first of all –
some people would rather play the Oklahoma City Thunder because they're such a young team.
Right. And some people – I don't know if you agree with me on that.
I would never tank. You win to win. You play to win.
If I went up to an NBA player – this is just my feeling. If I went up to an NBA player as a coach, GM, teammate, something, I said, hey, we're thinking about losing this game. If that NBA player didn't punch me in the face right then and there, I'd be shocked.
Mark Jackson talk about how maybe they should set it up to just kind of like chit-chat. Like maybe we should set it up to play the Pistons in their first obviously it didn't work out. Pistons went on to win the whole thing.
Right.
It's like you can't, and Mark's point was like you can't even think about it. You can't even think about trying to set it up. This was like months, a month to go towards the end of the season.
Right.
If you find out like you're going to be the 7th seed, the 6th seed, whatever, where it's going to match up, do you try to like manipulate it? He's like, you can't even think, you can't even entertain that idea.
No.
It can't even be a thing.
Because how many guys on that team are still playing for themselves? How many guys on that team, whatever team it may be, exactly? Yeah, I'm auditioning right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you tell me a Sixers team, just for an example, that had a T.J. McConnell on it, and they said, you know what? Let's kind of figure out where we're going here, and maybe we don't play as hard. And okay, yeah, right. First of all, I'm telling you that 99.9% of every NBA player that Amy and I have ever talked to, if you ever even thought of bringing up the thought of the idea of not winning games, no, that ain't going over real well. And it's funny how you think some things are just a given and they're not. I bring up this story all the time. Carl Landry was brought in during the process, and we're down at Stockton. And Brett Brown goes on and on. Oh, Carl Landry's 28. He's just the leader that this team needed, blah, blah, blah. About 10 minutes later, I get a one-on-one with him sitting in a back room down at Stockton. And I reiterate the words that Brett Brown said, and he goes, are you kidding me? I ain't no leader. I'm here because I'm trying to keep my ass in the league. I don't care about anybody else right now except
I'm here for me.
Exactly. And I'm not saying it's a selfish league. It is their job, and your job is to do the very best you can do all the time. There are limited people in that league that have job security.
It's a tryout for 29 other teams.
No question about it. So I don't think there's any of that stuff that goes on at all. All right, when we come back, I want to talk to Amy about Kyle Lowry. I want to talk to you guys about Kyle Lowry. I got to tell you, I keep asking this question. Who's the X factor once you take away Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey? We've had a lot of Tobias Harris, of course. We've had a lot of Kelly Oubre because that's what the latest thing is. I think mine might be Kyle Lowry for tonight's game. I want to hear what Amy has to say on it. And you also, 610-632-0975. Call in. text us, whatever you want to do. We're here. We're talking a lot of Sixers today. If you have something else on your mind, we welcome that also. Midday shows, Bob Cooney, today joined by Amy Fadul, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
76ers and Heat tonight. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Lowe's. Shop Lowe's best savings for spring during SpringFest. Start your gardening projects with deals on mulch, annuals, and more. Shop the best savings for spring during SpringFest because Lowe's.
weekdays.com. 97.5 The Fanatic. Signing bonuses presented by Rand Spear, the accident lawyer. Demand Rand for justice. Don't forget, music, MUSIC, to 45911. Please never text and drive. And as always, the best of luck.
This is Philadelphia's sports station for breaking news. Now, more with Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Welcome back as we hit the noon hour here on the midday show. Don't forget 2 o'clock, the best show ever, coming up with Tyrone, Ricky, and Jennifer, as they'll take you into 6 o'clock. And at 6 o'clock, a reminder, we will be doing a 76ers pregame show from down at the Wells Fargo Center. It will be myself, Pat Egan, D. Lynham. We'll be right there on the concourse around 106, 107, right by the Bet Rivers Bar. So come on down, say hello, hang out with us, have maybe a drink or two before the game gets started.
It's right there.
Yeah, it's right there. So our friend Karate Mark is going to be there. He's already sent me a text that he's going to be hanging out, and a few other people. So maybe, just maybe even, Ray Dunn is going to grace us with his presence.
That's the word on the street.
Yes.
That's the word on the street.
And it's a
no
big
one's
street.
confirmed the report yet, but that
No.
is, some sources are indicating that may be happening.
And in the old days, you could, like, make your way down. If you made a right out of there and you go down a couple sections, you could look in this big window, and you would have been able to see Amy doing her pregame show
we've
on
talked about
NBC
that.
Sports Philly. But no more. They put all the plexiglass
back in the
up.
day, back in the way back day, there was an actual viewing window inside the studios of then Comcast Sportsnet, now NBC Sports Philadelphia. They boxed that up pretty quickly.
I remember a few times being on Daily News Live and us getting the giggles from what people were doing outside
Especially
of
where
that
the
window.
DNL set was. It was off to the side, so you guys could see what the crazy people were
Exactly.
doing.
Yeah.
And the concerts always had the best viewing because the games, people are focused. The concerts, they're kind of there like for really like, let's get it in.
Yeah. I remember going into Comcast to do Daily News Live one time and went out to the hallway. I think I had to take a call or something, and WWE was there that night. So they had all the curtains closed up on the concourse, but I, like, kind of just, let me see what's going on here. And you saw the rivals there, like, messing around with each other. And I'm like, wait, I thought they hated each other. No, I'm
wait
just
a
kidding.
minute.
But we had Big Show on one time on Daily News Live. Do you remember that
Yes,
character?
yes.
Ray, I don't know. This
Very
dude,
large human.
This dude, he was such a nice guy, too. So he comes on set, and we're like, whoa. And,
Massive.
Barkan didn't overreact at all. But so this guy comes on, and he asks what we do. And at the time, I said, I cover the 76ers, all that. He's like, I'm a huge basketball fan, huh? And I'm looking at his hands. And I'm like, dude, do me a favor. And he's like, what? I said, take off your wedding ring and let me just look at that. He took off his wedding ring, and I put it around my thumb. It was like putting a tire around my thumb. Like, it didn't come close to touching any parts of my thumb.
Massive
this guy,
human.
He was. And it was cool. We were talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I just lost like 50 pounds. I'm very into, such a nice guy. And one of the things of Daily News Live that I'll never forget. So, Amy, I have to ask you this. As Matt Breen is going to join us from the Inquirer at 1 o'clock to talk all things 76ers, the X Factor. We've thrown out so many names, and as I break down tonight's game and the feelings come over me about tonight's game, and I've told you I think it's going to be a really good Sixers win, my X Factor, I think, is Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, you've teased that, and I'm wondering why. And I don't mean to just.
No,
I
I
think
hear
Kyle
you.
Lowry is always going to be a factor in a game, just because when he plays in the game, his fingerprints are all over it in the way the game is managed, defended, and everything.
I'll give you this as the reason why. One, what Kelly Oubre has given this team over the last couple of months of the season, for most of this season when he wasn't hurt, I have now come to expect. I expect Kelly Oubre to be out there with the starting lineup and get you his 15 to 22 points, to be a factor on the offensive end, to maybe block a shot or two. All of that stuff I've come to say to myself, I think that's what he's going to give you. The Tobias, which is the other name that we're always brought up, I'm not saying this is a down note. I just don't know. I'm either going to get 18 to 20 or I'm either going to get 8 to 12. It's going to be somewhere in between there. I'm going to not accept it, realize that's what it's going to be. What's going to happen is Tobias is either going to get a one-on-one situation tonight, have a back down, hit that turnaround jumper, and I'm going to say, up, good night. Going to catch a ball, make a decision, boom, up, good night. Another time he might get it, be indecisive, throw up a not-so-great shot from 22 feet, and I'm going to go, nah, this is the 8th time. So anyway, I just expect that.
So by default, you're going with Lowry almost.
Almost, but here's the thing. In these type of games, I just think it's the little intricacies of a game. You're going to get big scoring from Embiid and Maxey. You're going to get a great game from probably Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Those things kind of have to be expected. It's the intricacies of a game that I always look for. The offensive rebounds that you didn't expect, taking charges, loose balls, steals, those things. I think Kyle Lowry is an X factor in that. That's why he is my X factor for tonight. So I'll ask you, more specifically, what do you expect out of Kyle Lowry tonight?
Kyle Lowry is an X factor for a myriad of reasons, and you laid out a lot of them. But I go back to that last Heat game, and that game was a game of runs. And everybody says, "Oh, everybody makes a run." But if you'll remember it was like a 15-3 run, then a 17-0 run, and then a 12-0 run. Everybody they battled back and forth. The Sixers went on a run, Heat went on a run. There was like 6 different impressive runs where it was like at least 15 points scored by one team versus the other, and then. Kyle Lowry is a guy that's always going to stave off that run. He's going to stave off the run from the opposing team, and he's going to spark the run on your team. So that, for me, is the reason why I choose him as an X factor. But also you could go with Kelly Oubre. This is a guy that's looking forward to this time. He's always looking forward to the game. He wants to prove himself. We know he's got the 1-year deal. He kind of bet on himself this year for the contract. He has not played meaningful playoff basketball except for one time in his life, and at that point he was with the Wizards, so that doesn't really count in my book. He wants to go against Jimmy Butler. He knows who Jimmy Butler is. Everybody knows who Jimmy Butler is, and he's looking forward to that. He was asked about it. Listen, I'm not giving away any keys. I'm not telling you anything about it. This man studies basketball more than anybody I know. I'm relishing the opportunity to go against Jimmy Butler. I love a guy that looks forward to one of the toughest matchups in the postseason in the last 5 years. Jimmy Butler is a completely different player in the postseason than he is in the regular season.
Absolutely. And talking about, it's so funny, you brought up that last Miami game. I'm calling it up on my computer just as you were saying it. So that last time the Sixers played Miami, with 6:28 to go in the game, this is after the Sixers started the game on a 17-2 run, a 17-2 lead. Sixers are down 102-94, down 8 with 6:28 to go. In the game, Tyrese Maxey, KJ Martin, B-Ball Paul Reed, Kelly Oubre, and Kyle Lowry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're down 8, and that's the lineup you have in there. What happens? They go on a 9-0 run. The Sixers go on a 9-0 run. Then with 3:30 to go in the game, with the lead, they bring Joel Embiid back in the game to replace B-Ball Paul. Sixers close out the game on a 15-3 run and wind up winning the game. Kyle Lowry in the whole time during that 15-3 run. His numbers for the night, and maybe this is something I expect for tonight, 34 minutes, 3 for 7 from the floor, so, not looking for anything much, 2 for 5 from 3, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, 1 turnover, plus 8 in his 34 minutes.
Yeah, and that doesn't include all the other stuff that he did. But
Exactly.
that's a great stat line across the board. That says a lot. The plus 8 says a lot. He's that guy that's going to help, because I've never seen a game quite like that where you had like 6 different runs, 3 by each team, and they were substantial, 20-1, 17-3. These are substantial runs. It's not like an 8-0. It was very substantial, and stemming that tide over and over again can be really exhausting mentally and physically. Kyle Lowry is a guy mentally to be able to take your team. All right, listen, that happened. We're fine. Wash it. Let's go. Now we're back in there. So that's what's really good. I mean, I thought that was a big factor in why they won that game, is because Kyle Lowry was in there to finish, and Oubre was in there to finish. We talk about who's going to start, and I think that's obviously important. It's who finishes these games for me. It's way more important. That says a lot about who they value out there in crunch time.
And think about it. They finished with KJ Martin. Like, I was going through the play-by-play. Yeah.
Big boost energy.
I was going through the play-by-play, and I'm thinking, okay, when does he come out? When does he come out? And I'm looking through. I'm like, wow, Nick Nurse stuck with him that night.
We've seen Nick Nurse do that. He rewards guys that play hard and play well. He doesn't have a set thing of like, all right, well, now, Kelly, you're only here for this amount of time. Oh, Ricky Council? Well, there's a reason Ricky Council's contract was converted to a regular NBA contract, so he can be available. We don't know, obviously, how the situation's going to be game by game. I think it will change. But you want to be able to have those players at your disposal, and he has them now. those
No
energy
question.
guys, because if they play well, he's going to stick with them.
And I love the way he does it. I love the way he uses his lineup. I like that we're not even 100% positive of who's starting tonight. I assume that it's going to be Kelly Oubre out there and Nick Batum coming off the bench. That's really the only place you're looking. Tobias Harris is starting tonight, everybody. So we were the first ones to throw it out there. I think Bill and I kind of threw it out there saying, oh, is there a chance Tobias comes off the bench? No, there's no chance of that. So you're pretty set. Some numbers from that last game, because it was an interesting game. We just laid it out. Sixers win 109-105. It was only Joel Embiid's second game back. It was the only game this season in which Jimmy Butler played for the Miami Heat against the 76ers. Right. And in that game, Nick Batum went 32 minutes, and he did start that game because Tobias Harris was out. 0 for 4 from the floor, 0 for 3 from 3, no free throws, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 0 points, a plus 14.
There, see?
There it is.
A plus 14. And I'm not a giant person on plus minus, but I think it can tell a story. When the box score doesn't fully tell the story, the plus 14 tells it. He's not out there just running cardio.
Right? Exactly. I love that phrase. Embiid in his second game back went for 29 points. Tyrese Maxey, 37 points. Kelly Oubre, who you mentioned earlier, went 8 for 14. Look, they played this like a playoff game. Listen to the starters' minutes. Batum, 32. Embiid, 33. Lowry, 34. Maxey, 41. Oubre, 41.
Yeah, it was interesting because Nick Nurse was asked about that. Did you want to not give away some of your kind of game planning or whatever? Listen, we're playing to win. We're playing to win this game because what it meant, because that at that point you didn't know if you'd need the tiebreaker against the Heat, right?
Yep.
So you needed to win that game so you finished 2-2 and you could go worry about the other tiebreakers. Spoelstra said, we might hold a little something back. We don't want to give away everything. I mean, these are two very, very interesting and beyond competent coaches. And so they both played it a little bit differently, but the bottom line is they both wanted to win. They both treated it as if it was the most important game of that night, and it was.
Yeah, and looking at what Miami did that night, Duncan Robinson went 20 minutes, only scored 2 points. Jimmy Butler did go 40 minutes. 40. So you talk about wanting to win the game. 40 minutes for Jimmy. Just 20 points, 7 for 17 from the floor. Not much else going on there. Bam Adebayo went for 14 points, 11 rebounds, had a block, a couple of turnovers. And then Terry Rozier, who was out tonight, was the leading scorer for the Miami Heat that night. 6 for 13 from 3. He had 22 points, but he's not going to be there. Now, Kevin Love came off the bench and had a nice night. Had 16 rebounds in 19 minutes, 11.16 rebounds, and so on and so forth. So maybe that was a little bit of a prelude to what is going to go on tonight. We shall see. Uncle Frank joins us on 97.5 The Fanatic. Uncle Frank, what say you today?
Happy Hump Day, squad. Amy, I've never had the pleasure, but you are a trained professional, and you know your arenas very well.
Thank you.
Okay, Bobby C. Let's start with, how about Mr. Ranger, sir, dealing, huh?
Looked very good last night, as I said, Frank, to start the show. 71% of his pitches were strikes.
Isn't that amazing? He's unflappable, right, guys?
Yep.
I mean, that plate was his easel, and, man, he was painting the corners. And, you know, Bobby, I'm not a I told you so guy, but remember the crazy predictions you asked for regarding the Phillies?
Sure.
I said Ranger would win 16, so maybe,
All right.
I have no problem with that, Uncle Frank.
Can't wait for the Sixers tonight, right? I didn't know until this morning I heard, not having Rozier is huge. But really, I'm most intrigued regarding the coaching battle tonight, the in-game adjustments. It'll be like Boris Spassky versus Bobby Fischer, you know? Great show. Go Sixers.
All right, Uncle Frank, good job.
Little chess
mention. A little chess mention there. A lot of people don't know Bobby Fischer out there, but, you know, you and I got it. So, Uncle Frank, look, we have to commend Uncle Frank. Now, when I came onto this show, he wasn't a morning show caller. He's always been a midday caller. So Ray was privy to what Uncle Frank was all about. I go to take Uncle Frank for the first time, and he said, let me get the zapper ready. And I look at him, he goes, Yeah, he has a tendency to go on a little long. I said, oh, okay.
Concise.
So
You got two topics in.
Exactly. So I got Uncle Frank on. I said, all right, Frank, we're gonna practice this here. I used to be in the newspaper business. I'm gonna be your mouth editor. Like, keep it short, keep it simple, no rambling, go. And ever since then, he's been a minute and
Well
20
done.
seconds.
That was elite. I'll be honest. When we go like the top 3 Uncle Frank calls we've gotten, I think that's I'm hesitating to say it's the best we got because I think we did name him Caller of the Year for 2023 because he made great strides and then he started to regress at the beginning of 2024. It was tough to watch.
I have to commend you.
I don't think it has anything to do with me.
I
Bob,
think it has everything to do with you.
I think he feels the pressure after you mentioned being the mouth editor. I think that really put a little bit of pressure on him. I think that really got him down the path of, hey, I got to focus in. I got to lock in. He did get a little chesty there. I'm a little worried about him, if he starts to really feel himself with some of these predictions. We might lose him again.
I thought he was going to go Cy Young when he led off with that Ranger, and I was like, wow, that is a prediction.
16's not a bad number.
16's a pretty good.
13 more to go.
Yeah. And think about it. The year the Phillies won the World Series in 2008, they had a 16-game winner on that starting pitching staff. And it was a left-hander. And it wasn't Cole Hamels.
It was their third starter.
It was Jamie Moyer.
Jamie Moyer.
Yeah, that's always a good, little trivia. All
right, Bob, trivia for you.
Ooh.
Left-hander that won 2 games in the 2008 World Series.
The setup, Romero?
Yep.
J.C.
Good stuff right there.
Romero.
Good stuff.
Good pull. Good pull.
Good job by you. Look at Ray turning the tide and doing the.
Someone else has to ask the questions
Good
around
pull.
here every once in a
Hey,
while.
I got to tell you about the Fanatic Deal of the Week because it's a place I'm really familiar with. It's Big Kahuna's Water Park. Splash into fun with the Fanatic Deal of the Week. This week only, get 2 general admission tickets for Big Kahuna's Water Park in West Berlin, New Jersey for just $35. I've had friends whose kids have worked there. We had used to have family outings that went there to Big Kahuna to do all the water slides. It is awesome. You get 2 tickets for the price of 1. You can get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com. I think one of the most important things with little kids, Aim, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know because you know all these things, but with my 4 kids, it was always I wanted them, and we were lucky enough to do it. I wanted them to get comfortable with water early on.
That's a life skill,
right?
That's a life skill because then you don't have to worry about if they're going to a friend's house, they go to the pool, they go to the lake, they're in the ocean. That water safety is an absolute life skill. It's a must for me.
Yeah.
Now, breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Yeah, this one's pretty big for the sports world, so I'm going to just break in on this one. Sorry about that.
Don't be sorry.
You give me that look like, oh, what's happening here?
Well, no, in all honesty, and I think Amy did the same thing, I think we're trying to read your face when you hit it to see if it's good news, bad news, or indifferent.
Nothing to do with Philadelphia, but big in the sports world. The NBA has leveled a lifetime ban on Jonte Porter for gambling.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, so apparently the NBA's investigation found that Porter disclosed confidential information to sports bettors, limiting his own participation in one or more games for betting purposes and betting on NBA games. From January to March, Porter placed 13 bets on NBA games using Associates' account.
Ooh.
Not great.
The Twitter post of him banking in a three-point shot. Did you see the same?
Yes, I did.
And then him getting back on defense and making a face like, oh, my God, I can't believe that just went in.
Yeah,
that was a little telltale.
the first inclination when this all started to come out, the thing that, obviously things are flagged left and right, and it was the fact that he's even on any kind of betting lines is the first thing. Like, why is, Jonte Porter, why is he even on a prop bet?
Why
right?
are you betting on Jonte Porter?
And the money line would move, or the money on him would move so much on a guy that's, getting, 6-7 minutes on a given night. That's a giant red flag. I mean, you couldn't have. This is the only reason people know him is because he's Michael Porter's younger brother.
You're not going to not get caught. I mean, that's what
it's like Ohtani's translator. Like, what are you thinking?
The numbers of that, and we didn't die. We should have dove into that.
That's truly
a little
remarkable.
Oh my God, this guy's a complete idiot.
That's an onion. Like that, the peeling off. We're gonna still find out what Ohtani's translator was doing.
Oh, this is just getting started.
I'm just very bad at betting. No, you're not.
I felt weird last night watching Ranger Suarez get interviewed after the game, and his interpreter standing there. And you got to know that every interpreter in the league is like, man, you put a bad name on me now. I'm just really an interpreter.
I'm on the up and up.
Yeah, exactly. So, but all right, listen, when we get back, I got to tell you that not only are predictions going to be made on this Sixers coming up later on in the show, but The Flyers season did end last night, and it ended even before the game was over. And there's much talk about, well, was it a good season? Does last night play into, or the last 12 games of the season, does that play more into your feeling? Because I want to talk about how I felt when the final buzzer went off last night, watching the players stand on the ice, and I want to get Amy's feelings on it also. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, joined by Amy Fadul today, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers and Heat tonight. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by True Green. If you want a great-looking lawn, contact True Green today. All you have to do is water and mow. Sign up by April 20th to get one application free with an annual plan. Restrictions apply. Game as the winner will get the at the Wells Fargo Center. We on 97.5 The Fanatic will have an extended pregame for tonight's 76ers game with Bob Cooney, D. Lynam, and Pat Egan live from the Wells Fargo Center starting at 6 o'clock. Post-game, D. Lynam and Pat Egan will take all of your reaction to the game. And, of course, as always, you can listen to tonight's game at 7 o'clock right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Former 76er Nick Stauskas joined the show earlier today to talk about the game tonight, talk about this Sixers team. You can catch that conversation one more time at 97.5thefanatic.com. As for the Phils last night, Ranger Suarez was dominant. A complete game shutout, 8 strikeouts. Real Muto and Harper both hit home runs as the Phils won 5-0. Another one with the Rockies tonight at 6:05. Christopher Sanchez gets the start for the Phils. And the Flyers season came to an end last night. They lost to the Capitals 2-1. They were technically eliminated from the postseason just a few minutes before that game went final, as Detroit ended up forcing overtime, winning in a shootout over the Canadiens. But Detroit was the one that eliminated the Flyers. Their offseason now begins. Matt Breen will join the show coming up at 1 o'clock to talk all things Philadelphia sports. Stay tuned for that. I'm Ray Dunn. Breaking sports news all day, every day is here. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Del Fonte Smith signs an extension with the Eagles.
Being a team, it starts with your relationship with each other. I think that's a big part, having guys that have a good relationship with each other, guys that are familiar with each other, so everybody is comfortable pushing each other to the limits that are uncomfortable.
You heard his press conference live.
Nothing that fans say or things like that can actually get to me. I embrace it because it just shows that the fans love it. They live and breathe, feel it.
Philadelphia sports station for breaking news. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey, the NBA play-in tournament, it gives teams a chance to play their way into the postseason. So it only seems right that new customers on FanDuel, in partnership with Valley Forge, can play their way into $150. All you have to do is place any $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets, whether you win or lose, to use during the NBA playoffs. You have so many great things you can do. Pick an individual player. You can go over/under on threes. You can do something I love to do. It's a total of their points, assists, and rebounds. You can bet the over or under on that. You can go under/over for the whole point, for the whole game, first basket score, whatever you might want to do. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/Bob. That's FanDuel.com/Bob to get it all started. 21 plus and present in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Guys, if you can't get up for practice, let alone the big game, it's time to check out the scouting report for focused wave therapy and radial shockwave therapy at Forge Medical Group. Both therapies use acoustic pressure waves to open existing blood vessels and stimulate the growth of new ones with absolutely no cutting, slicing, stitches, or injections. Radial shockwave therapy is known for treating superficial tissue, and focused wave therapy is used for deep tissue issues. However, at Forge Medical Group, we found using a combination of the two therapies at once is much more effective than using one or the other by itself. So guys, don't get sent to the bench on another technical foul. You'll shoot and score with help from Forge Medical Group. Appointments fill up fast, so call 610-632-8181 now. That's 610-632-8181 or visit ForgeMedicalGroup.com. ForgeMedicalGroup.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care. And that's MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month switching to MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. And that's because MediShare works. It's been around for more than 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People
Welcome back. Midday show as we hit 12:30 on the button. We got the best show ever starting to come in. Those guys get here nice and early. I love it because we go on breaks. We get to see Jen and Tyrone and Ricky. Ricky when he comes in, that is. Ricky's spending an awful lot of time down at the NBC Sports Philadelphia studios as he does his dual duty. You have to run into him a lot, don't you?
All the time.
Yeah.
I see Ricky almost every day.
Yeah. His desk near yours?
His desk is directly behind me.
Yeah. Does he have any things that he does that annoy you?
No. Ricky be annoying? Never. Ricky would never. I would never say anything bad about
All right.
Ricky.
My goal, as long as Amy and I are doing things together here at the radio station, is to get her to badmouth somebody that we know. Because in the 16 years or so that I've known you,
I don't. Right,
I
yeah,
don't
I don't have
ever-
a negative opinion about a lot of people.
You don't. If you, I bet you Sean hears a lot from you.
Probably. Well, there's always people that annoy me. Ricky doesn't do anything annoying. Ricky plays a lot of music, but he's a very, energetic person. And if you're not feeling the vibe, I'm always an energetic person. But if you're not feeling the vibe, I imagine people could be offended or at least distracted by his energy.
Yeah, I always say I don't not like anybody. There's some people, like unless you do something to my family. Generally, I
Right.
don't. I don't not like anybody. There's some people that you're going to like more than others.
Well,
maybe. Amy?
that's just human. That's human nature. But no, Ricky's an enjoyable person to be around.
He
A
is.
lot of energy.
Ricky's a good dude.
Love
What were we doing? I guess Ricky was coming on the morning show or whatever. And our son Kyle, who lives out in Charlotte, listens on the app, and he's like, "Yeah, Ricky's a really cool dude. I like him." Well, I brought Kyle to our golf outing last year, and he and Ricky we went and hit balls together actually before the tournament actually started, and he and Ricky had a lot of back and forth. And so he's got a thumbs up like everybody else for Ricky Botalico. All right, we have been gifted here on the midday
This
show.
is amazing.
So I'll give you a little behind the scenes, which I like to do because my life is an open book game. I like everybody to know what's going on. So we're sitting here. Todd DeFeo from our promotions department sits down in a couch right outside of the studio so I can see him. I start to sweat a little bit because
nervous.
Todd sends out emails, and he does such a tremendous job. And it's emails on, hey, let's not forget we're promoting this. We have this to give away. And I am not the best at it. So Amy will attest. We went to break. I opened the door, and I said, sorry, I know I bleeped up something.
What did I do?
And he said, no, actually you didn't. And that was a first in my life pretty much.
No, I got
Amy.
something positive for you.
And guess what he said? He goes, I got 2 tickets to tonight's Sixers game. That's right, tonight's playing game against the Miami Heat. We have 2 tickets to give away. We just can't figure out how the hell to give them away.
Yeah, we were trying to think of a good question, something that we said earlier that you'd have to, remember.
I said, let's do something that we already said in the show. And Ray said that's not really fair because we didn't warn people like we're going to have something later on. Now, his latest suggestion, Eamon, it's open for me and you to either reject or accept, is that we play a Know the Show from here on out.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, I'm on board then.
I like it.
The rest of the 12 o'clock hour, we ask the question in the 1 o'clock hour.
It gives people a chance. The preparation. That's
Right.
why we didn't
so
do it
start
before.
studying. You got
So you can't turn a dial. You can't move your app. You can't do anything but sit here and listen to this great conversation that we're having here from here on out. So pay attention. So I guess around, 1:45-ish? Maybe something around there. We'll go for probably a little earlier.
Yeah, well, it's
About an
1:30. 1:30.
All right, we'll go 1:30.
Yeah, because we got to give people a chance to get it wrong.
We got
we got to be realistic here. Some of you guys think you're studying right now, and unfortunately, you'll come up with the wrong answer. I can't control it. I wish we could give you all tickets. We have 2.
We do. Well,
1 winner.
I'll let you know Ray's reaction. Selfish Ray's reaction, Aim. So Todd says, I got 2 tickets for you to give, for tonight.
Ray wants them.
And Ray puts out his hand. He goes, all right, Bob, we're going to the
great.
game.
Perfect. Let's
I'll be there
First of all,
anyways,
you're going
Bob.
already.
Yes.
And I'm going already. Amy's going to be there
I'll be
already.
there.
So, yeah, we're all going to be
No,
there.
Petrelli, you don't get them either. He's putting up on the call screen. Brendan Petrelli back there is trying to get the tickets, too.
He always
Yeah, I
wants
see him.
something.
I'll take
You
them.
know what? I gave him a pass, but he was the kid that kept calling me this week, texting me this week. How am I doing on the Masters Bowl? How am I doing?
Jeez.
And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I can't tell you how you did until the thing's over.
Yeah, it's winnings, right?
he
The
came in
Masters School is
second.
about winnings.
It is. And he did come in second, so I give him applause for that because, second is first.
Who won
usually.
again?
I don't know. Somebody that was just really good at it. Anyway, talking about this Sixers, we will get to that in a little bit. But, Aim, I did want to talk to you about this because I use this word, and I can see my wife rolling her eyes right now as I say it because I've brought it up a lot. But this year's Flyers season, specifically John Tortorella, I use the word all the time. It intrigued me. I was questioning Tortorella a lot. I was in agreement with him a lot. I didn't understand some things he did a lot. I understood some things he did a lot. I've been through a process before, as have you. I was up close and personal on it, so maybe it just makes me see it a little more clearly or understand it maybe, not saying I'm smarter than anybody, but maybe understanding of it a little more clearly. The game gets over last night. I had a certain feeling when that final horn sounded and the players were on the ice. I'll tell you what mine was in a minute. What was yours?
Relief, maybe? No. But in actuality, it was a little bit of sadness. A little bit of disappointment. It wasn't the massive disappointment. I think I felt that during the 8-game losing streak. That kind of took the air out of it for me to be completely like, oh my God, I cannot believe this happened. I could believe it happened. They set themselves up for this. They let all those other teams back in it. The Capitals, Penguins, all those teams that were fighting for that spot, they let them back in it when they didn't win a game for 8 straight games. So that was kind of set me up for it. There was a small glimmer of hope, and I think it was dashed when it went down 1-0, and I thought, okay, well, let's see what you got towards the end of it. And then, thinking that was my initial reaction, the disappointment of, okay, well, it really, that was kind of a bummer. But then I thought, well, maybe I should look at this in a different way. Maybe I should look at this is an experience for the guys, the Bobby Brinks out there, and these Forrester, all right, let's kind of go on the uptick now. Let's see what we learned about them. Let's see what they feel like they learned. They all addressed the media today. They obviously addressed it after the game last night. And I think that there was a certain amount of disappointment because they know they set themselves up for that position. But I think you can learn from disappointment. I think that there's some takeaways from that. So I'm going to try to harken back to how I felt in March and in February and in January when things were rolling well and it seemed like good times. I'm going to try to get back there. And I got back there, I talked myself into it a little bit.
So last night's game, to me, when the game got over, I started all the thinking that you just did, exactly the same way. So I thought, was this game a microcosm of the season? I didn't like the way they started out. And I'm not saying started out this season, the Flag. So expectations of the season were, you're not expecting anything. They started last night's game, to me, up until midway of the second period, come on. What are you doing? You got a chance to make the playoffs with a game tonight, and it looked like they were skating in slush. Then they tie the game on Eric Johnson's goal, tie it 1-1, 8 minutes to go in the second period, and then all of a sudden they had jump. And then it's oh, okay, there they are, and they have chances, and these things are happening, and they're checking, and they're doing well, and they give up some breakaways and some, good stuff that Urson stopped. And you're thinking, okay, there's a shot. Here you go. Then the third period comes, and you're watching the other games, and this has happened that time, and boom, Detroit scores with 3 seconds to go.
Ridiculous.
And the Flyers still have about 5 minutes to go, and season's over right then and there because, Detroit couldn't. They tied the game then. They had to lose in regulation. So all those emotions go, and you're like, boom. Then the Flyers game finally gets done. And, you see Washington celebrating and all that. And I'm anxious for the camera, and I'm saying to myself, come on, get to the Flyers, get to the Flyers, get to the Flyers. I wanted to see how they reacted to the fans. I wanted to see the fan reaction. The fan reaction was kind of like mine, where it was, game's over, season's over.
Yep.
Huh. And then the players are kind of milling around, and they're congratulating Urson. And then they kind of did the old, go to the middle of the ice. And I think the players and fans were on the same kind of level of, yeah, man, that could have been better.
Yeah.
Okay, we did some things we shouldn't have done.
But
all right, let me raise my stick, and the fans give them a clap, and it's there it is. That's the season. You don't go away satisfied. You don't go away disappointed. How do you go away?
It's just like this.
Or do you just go away?
Was it don't go away, man? Just don't go away.
Yeah.
It was. I think there was still a tinge of disappointment because they had set themselves up for this. But I think the feeling of the great disappointment, again, was lessened because they had set themselves up for this. So it's just the expectation. It's almost all right, I knew that was going to happen. This is how it went down. There were some disappointing aspects of that game, like a guy like a Morgan Frost not playing the back half of the game. Tortorella shortened up, obviously, all the players and just, that was a decision. And I think Morgan Frost said, he understood it. He was a professional about it and said, listen, I haven't been playing that well. I get it.
Right.
But these guys want to have a chance. They want to leave with a better taste in their mouth. So I think that was the disappointing, even if it didn't mean anything, to try to get a point or a win, I think would have been a really big deal for them. Knowing that they gotten there because of the way the Red Wings won, that's fine. Just to give a little bit of so that's why you kind of walked away with a meh.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'd like to have something, but I think that if you look back on it now, having settled in now, 12, 15 hours on, you're thinking, all right, well now I feel a little bit better about it, and I think they did learn some things. They should be able to learn a lot from certainly how they ended the season. No one expected them to do anything. I think they really kind of leaned into that, and then the wheels came off, and then they tried to put them back on.
I'll ask you this, because I have it in my mind. If John Tortorella was given his season-ending press conference, and you were sitting there and they said, Amy, you have first question today. Maybe I'm putting you on the spot too much. If you want me to give mine first, I will. But what would your first question to John Tortorella be?
I would ask him, did he think his demeanor, his tactics during that 8-game losing streak, do you think that would he do that again? Would he act the same? Because I feel like a lot of people are going to point to that when he really called out his team. And the team might point to that. I mean, there's going to be guys that are still on the team, and they're not going to say that because they don't know if he's their coach. But you will hear eventually how some of the players may or may not have felt about that, if it was rightly or wrongly, in their opinion, if they did respond to it. But that would be my question. Do you feel like you handled this team during the downturn in a way that you would do again? Did you learn anything from that?
I mean, we're so on the same page. Mine was, we can look at your team, 87 points. That was higher than expected. We can look at the individuals. They have points next to them, all that. However, if I'm to grade you, I need you to tell me how you would grade you. How would you, John Tortorella, grade yourself for this season? I took it more than the 8 game. I took it to the whole season.
Yeah.
And he might look at me and say, that's none of your damn business. That's
the whole
that's
season
for me.
is probably a different grade, right? Because they did overachieve.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you have to look at it
That's the
kind of
thing
that
when you
way.
look at an entire. So if we are giving grades out, it doesn't matter what I did in my first semester. It matters what I did for the first semester and the second semester, and then you couple those two together. So I
Right.
think that's the thing. So does it average out to a C? I mean, well, I don't know.
87 points is 87 points. That's hard to deny. None of us saw that. But there was some external factors, different things that went on that
Yeah,
it's a
they had
legit.
some bad injuries. Obviously, the Carter Hart situation. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things they had to extra deal. And the guys that they were counting on, major catastrophic type injuries where they were very limited in playing time. Defensemen that never saw the ice and certainly didn't perform even when they did. So there's certainly a lot of things that went wrong, but there was a lot of things that did go right. I think Ayrton, obviously finding him. There you go. Good
Yeah.
times. Like there were some things that you can look at. That Bobby Brink, you mentioned him yesterday. I think he's a nice young player that you're going to see a lot from. There's some Forrester. You're going to see a lot of guys. Morgan Frost. You're going to see a lot of these guys, I think, learn from this experience. And then it's building on that. So to your point, is Tort's going to learn from it? How did he grade himself? How can he get a better grade?
Yeah, the players, that's one thing, and we can debate that in numbers and this and that, but I am intrigued by how the coach thinks he performed this year. And maybe some point in the near future we'll get a chance to ask him that. Okay, when we get back, I wanted to get that in. Like, for those of you who say, oh, my God, Flyers talk. No, it ended last night, and I was really interested in Amy's thought on it, and maybe your thoughts on it, whatever. But that's how I ended the season last night. From here on out, I'm sorry, it's going to be pretty much all Sixers. You got a huge game tonight, Miami Heat, play-in game. It's going to be here. 7 o'clock, 97.5 The Fanatic. Matt Breen is joining us at 1 o'clock to talk all things Philly sports. And it's you. Whatever you want to do, 610-632-0975. You can call in. You can text. This is Midday Show's Bob Cooney. Today we're joined by Amy Fadul, 97.5 The Fanatic.
We are talking sports with you all day, every day. You can call our shows at 610-632-0975. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Welcome back, middays. Oh, we got a lot of stuff going on here now. I'm getting accused of being a cheater on the Masters pool. Tyrone's pointing fingers.
It's Wednesday.
I have
the
it all
Masters
here.
was Sunday, and we're still.
No, that's
Listen,
okay.
what
It's the
happens
first
when
time
you
Ty and I have talked about it. So
No, I like that people are still finding out about you winning your own Masters pool.
It's fishy. It
So
is
we've been
fishy.
right. Wait, no, you have the evidence that it's not fishy.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why it's not fishy, but I'm not sitting through all those papers. I appreciate him going through and doing
Keeps
all the work
papers.
for
Here's-
it.
I'm looking at the photographic evidence.
what day was
Here's-
it taken?
April 9th, 9:38 a.m.
April 9th, which is a Tuesday.
Yep. You got
the Masters
Scheffler,
tournament was
Rahm.
on.
No one's questioning what you picked. Everyone's just questioning that maybe you know.
Well, that's why I did.
All right, I won't run it anymore. I don't care.
No, see,
Like,
now
I'm
he's
not-
turning this into a.
I don't
He's
care.
not going to
Your
run it.
accountant can look over it.
That's all right. He is.
Well, the thing is, it's easy to count up. All you have to
I've
do.
run 15 of these. I've won once, and now I'm getting questioned.
All you
But
have to
go
do-
ahead.
I mean, that's a
count
pretty
up
high
the
percentage. That's a pretty high percentage. You think about the number of people that's played in all 15 and haven't won.
So you're going to bitch now after. Okay. I see who I have.
It's an
I
easy
see.
thing to check. That's what's weird. So just go look at yours, add up the money that
They
those
have it-
players
everybody
won.
has it right here. You know what?
You can go to the
Amy,
internet.
talk.
You can go to the internet and
Tell
check
these
this.
guys about what happened with Nick Stauskas today when we had him on the air.
Hey, so Nick's. Oh, wait, for the contest?
Well, we had Nick Stauskas on today.
We had
and,
Nick Stauskas.
and he had something really good to say that he thinks the Sixers are going to win tonight. And I thought it was pretty cool. I asked him. I said, Nick, you were on that 16-17 Sixers team that
Awesome.
had two number fives.
Two number fives. So like,
do you remember what one of them was?
The first thing you set it up because you asked how many teammates did he have in that 16-17 season. We're at the height of the process, right? And I think he guessed 23, and the answer was 21. And that led you to your question of there was actually two number fives in the same season because that's how it was. It was a revolving door. For those of you who don't remember, it was a great time. You know, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sixers song was almost played ironically because you only got so many wins. They would have confetti going off after wins. It was great. Good times. Remember that? Like, I think it was only 10 times.
Yeah.
But that was the question was the number five. Like, there were two number fives. You even gave him the schools.
I gave him the schools, and he guessed one of them.
I remembered one right off the top of my head just from where he went.
And so he guessed correctly that Chasson Randall was the guy from Stanford. Very good by Nick. The song back then when we were covering him, AIM, was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins, 10, 9, 8, 76 losses.
Yes. That's about
and
accurate.
It almost came to fruition. The year before that,
15-16.
15-16, they were 10 and 72.
10 and 72.
Yeah, that
Tied
was
the
bad.
record.
If you can call Dylan and have him come get these, he's more than welcome because people now doubting. Go ahead, Amy. You can go through. We can get the accountants.
Oh,
we can do
we have a
anything
little
we
good
want.
fun with you, Bob.
No,
I'm
that's
sure
okay.
You won.
I'm not lying. I'm sweating a little bit underneath my sweatshirt that people are. And
Who do you
yes,
think gets in more trouble today? You or Jonte Porter?
Jonte Porter is never doing basketball in any aspect again. I
Yeah,
just wonder if
it's a
there's
good
like
point.
a legal ramification. Oh, you even have like the numbers here 9, 5, 4, 2. Yeah, all right. No, this is legit.
I'm better than Santa Claus in this case, where I don't check it twice. I check them like 6 and 7 times.
No, it's like the whole like did Bob cheat thing aside. Like
we know you did.
It's funny to listen to him talk about going to do it because it was like an entire afternoon planned out. What was it, Monday? Monday, like we were getting done with the show, we recorded the promo, behind the scenes stuff here, and then all of a sudden, he's like, "All right, yeah, I got to get home. I got an afternoon of Masters pools waiting for me."
Yeah. And nothing. Like, I love doing it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like doing it. I love the competition of it and having fun with it and watching. Gives you, like, an extra reason to watch the Masters. But, yeah, then Monday night, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, this guy did good, and it's me. And I'm like, oh, no. And this is my honest reaction. I'm not lying. And then I'm going through, and I find Brendan Petrilli, who I knew did well because he had me look at his. And I'm like, and I do his, and he came up like $40,000
You're
shorter
hoping he
than
won,
me.
though.
I kind of,
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
And then part of me, and I'm being just on, part of me was like, well, just
No.
give it to Brendan and say you won.
No.
But then I put all of them out there for everybody to see. So if somebody looks at mine and goes, wait a minute, you won, then it gets more, look, I apologize, but I won. You guys need to be better. How about that? I'm going to go on the offensive here. You guys need to be better.
He's going on the offensive.
Watch. Next one I write up, nobody's going to play.
It'll be just.
It's
you.
always a
Yeah,
donation for
exactly.
me.
Should I give
never
everybody
know.
their $10 back? Would
No,
that make,
it's not
you know,
participation.
Stop.
No,
you know.
no.
Come
no
on,
one-
Bob.
There's only one winner.
Now
only
I feel
one winner.
bad.
Oh,
So,
come on.
We're talking
Brendan
on,
does not want a pity party, but he will take the money.
No, that would be a pity party if I gave him the money. Otherwise, there's no party. So, sorry, Brendan, you're out. So, I thought it was real comforting when we talked to Nick Stauskas, former Sixer Nick Stauskas.
Very positive.
And getting the trivia question right when he came up with Chasan Randall as one of the number 5s on that team. But, yeah, talking to him, who played for Eric Spoelstra,
right,
who knows all about how to attack offense or defense that are playing zones, he is comfortable with the Sixers win tonight.
It's interesting. He mentioned Spoelstra and how well prepared. He said every single game of the season, regular season, preseason, whatever, Spoelstra is uber prepared, always prepared. And I don't think that that's like a giant surprise, but it just reinforces what everybody knows about that. That's why the Heat are always a formidable opponent. That's why, especially this time of year, you know you're going to get your best shot with the Heat because of Eric Spoelstra. Gets the most out of the players, the system they run it to perfection. We all know that. But the confidence level, you know, the biggest question, and Nick brought it up, is and always will be the health of Joel Embiid. Right now, you're looking at Joel Embiid, practiced yesterday, shoot around today, stayed after, shoot around, get a little bit more work in. There's no question to me right now, this is as healthy as you're going to get for Joel Embiid. He looks good, feels good. There's no remnants. It was just precautionary for that last game of the season. They didn't need him. They won by 21. It's go time. Today is happy Joel Embiid plays basketball day.
Yeah, and it's so much fun to watch his team play when he's out there. It is a completely different team, as we know. All right, 12 o'clock hour is brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. All right, when we get back, we got Matt Breen joining us from the Inquirer to talk. We're going to hit him with Sixers stuff mostly because that's how we're going to finish out this show today. Sixers. Miami Heat tonight, 7 o'clock right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Play-in tournament tonight. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors. Now through April 30th, get 50% off installation and no payments for 12 months. Visit PellaPhilly.com to schedule your appointment today. The 76ers host the Heat tonight in the NBA's play-in tournament. The winner of this game will be the Eastern Conference 7th seed taking on the 2nd-seeded Knicks in a game on Saturday. The loser gets the winner of the Bulls-Hawks game on Friday for the conference's 8th seed. We're going to have an extended pregame for tonight's 76ers game with Bob Cooney, D. Lynam, and Pat Egan all live from the Wells Fargo Center starting at 6 o'clock. The game, of course, 7 o'clock tonight. Listen to it right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Nick Stauskas joined us earlier to talk about all things 76ers, talk about this game. You can catch that conversation one more time at 97.5thefanatic.com. As for the Phils last night, they win 5-0. Suarez was dominant. A complete game shutout for him. 8 strikeouts. Realmuto, Harper, both hit home runs in the game. Another one with the Rockies tonight at 6:05. Christopher Sanchez gets the start. And for the Flyers, their season came to an end last night. They lost to the Capitals 2-1. Were technically eliminated by Detroit a little bit before that game went final, but the offseason begins for them. Matt Breen will join the show coming up in the next segment. Talk all things Philadelphia sports. This update's also brought to you by True Green. If you want a great looking lawn, contact True Green today. All you have to do is water and mow. Sign up by April 20th to get 1 application free with an annual plan. Restrictions apply. I'm Ray Dunn. Breaking sports news all day, every day is here. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The best show ever. Opinion and conversation on Philly's hot sports topics. Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Batalico, and Jennifer Scordo. This afternoon at 2. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
More time outside means more projects on the honey-do list, but fret not. Say goodbye to DIY headaches and hello to Preferred Pros. Whether it's indoors or out, let our reliable experts handle your home improvements while you focus on fun. Spruce up your home today with Preferred Pros, your go-to for quality and reliable workmanship.
Bachman's Roofing is your local award-winning roofer. Inspect your roof and protect your #1 asset. To schedule a consultation and learn about financing options, visit bachmansroofing.com.
Chris Services, experienced electrical contractor serving southern New Jersey. Say goodbye to blackouts with a Kohler whole home generator. Never lose power again. Contact Chris Services.
Take your kitchen from an out-of-control eyesore to an organized oasis with a custom pantry from Bella Systems Philly. For a free consultation, visit bellasystemsphilly.com.
Check out Preferred Pros today. This paid program is sponsored by businesses highly rated by actual customers. For more details, visit 97.5thefanatic.com.
In Philly, the only thing we love more than our teams is great savings. And with unlimited welcome from Verizon, you can save big, even if you're on a single line. For a limited time, single lines start at just $50 a month when you bring your own phone, with auto pay plus taxes and fees. That's a savings of $15 a month. And when you switch now, you can save on the things you love, like Netflix and Max, all on the most awarded 5G network. Now that's a real win. There's never been a better time to switch to the network America relies on. But this offer won't last long. Visit your local Verizon store to switch and save big today. $180 BYOD promo credit and $360 local promo credit applied over 36 months. For new customers with one new line with your own 4G or 5G phone on unlimited welcome plan required. Additional terms apply. Auto pay and paper-free billing required. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. $10 a month for each MyPlan perk. Additional terms and conditions apply per perk.
Hey, welcome back. Midday show right after the 1 o'clock hour on this great Wednesday as we are all pumped up, excited.
Ready to roll.
Ready to roll for this Sixers-Miami Heat game. Bob Cooney here, along with Amy Fadul today. Amy, I just love when you join us for our 4 hours.
It's my fave.
It's your fave. I love that because you got a lot going on. You have a lot of faves in your life.
I do.
Yeah. You
As
just
well,
have
a positive person should.
that exactly
That's generally
right.
how life works.
You and I wake up to sunshine and songs in our head every day.
Yeah, let's go.
You probably don't have songs in your head every day.
Not the songs that you sing. I've heard the songs you sing. They're very obscure. You had a stick song that
I
you
did
had
have
to-
a stick
you had
song
to-
yesterday.
You had to sing part of it, and I remembered it vaguely when you sang it. But that was a deep dive.
That was weird. I had a Luther Vandross one last
See?
week.
Now, how do you marry those two?
I don't. Amy, I
can't.
kid
I'm
you
telling you,
not.
that's why I mean.
2 things happen to me in the morning. I wake up. Well, that's 3 things. I
Yeah.
wake up. When I
Check.
wake up, I put a positive thought in my mind before I allow my feet to hit the floor. Sixers tonight. Taking Tommy somewhere to do something. Whatever it is. It might be personal, it might be professional. I get a positive thought. Then my feet hit the floor. Then I go in the bathroom, turn on the shower. As I get in the shower, a song is in my head. I don't know why, but it just is. I don't know. I'm a weird person. You know who's not a weird person? How about Matt Breen from the Philadelphia Inquirer? He is on the Comcast Business Hotline, all ready to rock and roll. Matt, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, guys. We're all a little weird, Bob, so it's all right.
Yeah, that's right. See?
Wow.
Embrace the weirdness.
Yeah, no, it's true. Matt, do you do that? Do you wake up and, have a song in your head? Because I've run into a couple other people that it happens to.
I don't think so. I think you do a lot before you put your feet on the floor, and I'm impressed. I think I kind of just wake up. It's not as exciting as yours.
Are you like the snooze guy and stay in as long as you can, or?
I'll tell you no, but my wife will disagree.
Disagree? There you go.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm a hop right out. Let's get the day started. Can't wait. All right, Matt, we're talking a lot about the Philadelphia 76ers Miami Heat game tonight, matchups, everything going on in that way. I said earlier on the show to Amy that if there's a voodoo team, with air quotes there, the Celtics are probably one, but 1A might just well be the Miami Heat. How do you feel as far as this matchup goes tonight?
Yeah, definitely, because of the Jimmy Butler narrative and what that narrative has meant the last few seasons ever since they dumped him. But I think that ends tonight, and I think this is a start of the deepest run they've had since 2001 starts tonight, and I think it's only fitting that it starts by slaying that dragon, and I think it's set up that way. I don't think it's going to happen again. I don't think, like Jimmy Butler in the past, it obviously is a different Sixers team than the teams that he's haunted in the past, and I think that is just a narrative, and I think it ends tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it is the narrative, and obviously he's fed into that and backed it up, Matt, but your point is good. When you look at the bracket, it does set up nicely for them, meaning that the big bag Celtics aren't going to be there until the Eastern Conference Finals if they get there, which obviously they should. But you're thinking about this team, and Jimmy Butler has proven that he is that guy. Is there a guy that you think, in my mind, I've got who I think, but a guy that's going to set his narrative because maybe he needs to either change the perception of him for the Sixers, or he needs to evolve with his narrative for the Sixers that's going to turn into playoff version of himself?
I guess it's like the obvious answer, but I think it's the answer is Joel Embiid. You can pinpoint to the coming up small or run out of gas in the playoffs or being hurt or being sick in the postseason, and I think we know where he's going to be this summer. He's going to be in the Olympics, and he's probably going to win a gold medal with Team USA, and that means a lot for his legacy. This is a guy that cares a lot about his legacy. When he walks away, what is his legacy? A gold medal is one thing. But I think he also knows he needs to have a deep playoff run, preferably an NBA championship. And I think that is a guy that you see a different Joel Embiid than you've seen in the past postseasons. I think that, again, starts tonight. And Jimmy Butler's haunted him. Obviously they're good friends. They were close when they were here. They've been close since he left. But Jimmy Butler's ruined a couple postseasons for him. And I think that is the one that ends tonight, too. Joel Embiid gets that monkey off his back, and I think he takes care of the Heat, takes care of Butler, and then, like you said, the bracket sets up. And go to New York. It's tough to go to New York and play the Knicks. They're a good team. They got good young players, obviously, from Villanova, but I think that's a pretty favorable matchup if you're going to have one in the playoffs to go to New York and play the Knicks.
Matt Breen, we're talking to from the Philadelphia Inquirer on the Comcast Business Hotline. And, Matt, we all know, you cover a little bit of everything around this area. And you had a really good story over the weekend, or last few days, about Charlie Manuel. And one of the most beloved figures, obviously, here in Philadelphia through our sports career. And just how he goes about his business of watching baseball games. Tell the people a little bit about that didn't read it.
Yeah, it's just obviously we know he loves baseball. He loves talking about hitting when he was the manager of the Phillies and since then. And he does this thing where he lives in Florida for the most part, commutes back and forth, but lives down there. And he'll just go to his local high school game and just, pull a hat down low, put a pair of sunglasses on, and hang out behind the fence and watch baseball because he's just like addicted to baseball, to watching. And he's 80 years old, and that's one of the things that keeps him going. He obviously had the stroke in the wintertime and rehabbed from that and had to get back to watching baseball. Was watching the Phillies on an iPad when he was in the hospital. Now he's back to watching baseball on the field. He's back to coming to Citizens Bank Park. Like, he just can't get enough of it. And now he's partnering with this, it's called Perfect Game, this baseball company, which is like almost like the AAU of baseball. Like, if you play high school baseball, you pretty much have to go through Perfect Game if you're going to want to get noticed. And he's partnering with them, investing his money. But he's like, obviously, I'd like to turn a profit, but I want more than that. I just want to grow the game. A guy that loves baseball, lived his entire life in professional baseball, and now is trying to hope to, make that game more accessible to kids.
Was there a bigger round of applause than when they didn't announce him as the throwing out the first pitch? They just said, you just started hearing everything, and people like, oh, they said 2008, and you're thinking, they never even said Charlie Manuel as he's walking out there. I was at opening day. It was thunderous applause. The people love him. But when you're looking at this team, and I ran into Charlie recently and asked him about this team, and of course he always talks about hitting because this team is supposed to hit. They're mashers, and that's his kind of team. 2018 was set up, obviously, with those guys as well. When you look at this team, though, and Matt, the way that they're hitting or lack thereof right now, last night aside, is this just a matter of time for this team, or is there anything that gives you a concern?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. And even like obviously Harper hits a home run last night, but first you see how they score their first few runs, and JT homers, and then Harper knocks in Turner, and it's like, all right, this is how it's supposed to go. That Turner has 2 runs scored. He's getting on base. Obviously we don't focus on who scored the run, but it's just a good idea of how is it happening? Okay, the guys that are supposed to get on base are getting on base. The guys that are supposed to drive them in are driving them in. And then Harper hits the 3-run homer, and it's like, oh, all right, these concerns. It's just a reminder that, I say this all the time. I feel like it's early, and baseball is so different than even basketball, and obviously it's way different than football. But this offense is built to hit. They're most likely going to hit like they hit last night. And then if you get to Memorial Day, that was always when I was on the beat. You had to get to Memorial Day. That's a checkpoint. And then reassess how everything is. I saw somebody breaking down the Phillies record yesterday. It doesn't even matter. Standings, literally, unless they're 0-17. But to say what their record is, I don't even know what it is because I don't look at the standings. It's meaningless to look at it. To look at numbers. Numbers don't mean anything because it's such a small sample size. It's we have to be patient. And I'm not trying to stress to people how to think because everybody can think how they want to think. Just be patient. And this team, once the weather is getting warmer, it was a nice day yesterday. They always hit better when it's warmer. And, Bryce Harper is going to be Bryce Harper. And that's what he was last night. And once guys get locked in, but I don't think anybody gets locked in the way he gets locked in. So I'm excited to see, what he looks like the next month or so and if he can really start to take off.
So, Matt, having been on that beat, it's hard to look for little things over 162 games and all the time that you spend at the ballparks. But last night in the luxury of my living room, being able to sit there and watching an at-bat by Bryce Harper, and I brought this up earlier in the show, it was the at-bat where he got the double. He got down 0-2, fouled a couple of tough pitches off, took a couple of balls, and then lined it out to left center field and got himself a double. My first thought was, and I'll ask you if maybe this or how often you've seen this, was, you know what? That could be a turnaround right there. That was a really good at-bat. Is that something that could happen in Major League Baseball and more specifically with Bryce Harper?
Definitely, and that's when you're keeping score of the game, when you're covering it. That's the game. That's the at-bat you star. You put a star next to it because you think, all right, Harper's been struggling. He's off to a slow start. He needs to get going. Obviously, he had the 3-home-run game, but since that, it was slow. Needs to get going, and then you said not only was the end result what it was, but it was a tough at-bat that he worked his way through, stayed alive, and then has the big hit. So you put a star next to it, and the next thing you know, later in the game, he's hitting a 3-run homer. So, yeah, that's what happens to these guys. Again, we're not asking for a miracle for Bryce Harper to be, a big-time part of the lineup. He just asked him to be himself, and it's just a matter of time until he is himself. It's 3 weeks into the season. We're not in May yet, still April, and last night could be a huge. And they're playing bad teams. When they play bad teams, this is what you're supposed to do. So, I think last night definitely be a turnaround. But also, if you get this lineup to hit the way they did, and you can have guys pitch like Ranger Suarez pitched last night. We said, you knew what you had at 1 and 2, and you hoped you had at 3, a really good pitcher because of the way he's looked at times in the past few seasons. Then he goes down and throws a complete game. So, I think it's okay to feel good about this team, disregard what their record is or where they're at in the standings. Just things are moving in the right way right now.
Positivity, I think, is the order of the day. Obviously it is a long season. Positivity about tonight. So, Matt, where are you at right now? Because we're almost effusively positive about, ridiculously.
Stupidly, some may say.
Should you rein us in, or are you just going to let us go out there for this game tonight with Sixers and Heat?
Yeah, I think it's scary when we're too positive, right?
It's scary.
But it's a one-game playoff. I think they take care of business. I think Nick Nurse is a coach built for this. I think he has them ready tonight, which we can't always say the Sixers have been ready to play in the playoffs the last few years. So I think they're ready. Embiid is ready. I'm sure he's, as healthy as he can be. And I think they take care of business tonight. And well, God forbid, if they, I start looking at the other side last night, and if they get eliminated in this playing round, and if it goes Heat and then it goes Hawks, it would be, you talk about narratives. There's the two teams that have haunted this, been thorns in the side of this era of Sixers basketball. But I don't think that happens. I think they take care of business tonight, and then we're talking about the Knicks tomorrow.
Love it.
Love it. Matt, thanks so much for joining us again.
Thanks,
we will
Matt.
talk to you again next Wednesday. Hope you have a great week.
Take care, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks a lot. Matt Breen from the Inquirer joining us there. Another confident soul when it comes to the 76ers.
He admitted that it is scary because we're not used to it. This is an unusual feeling for us, this level of confidence with the Sixers.
I don't like when people say, yeah, it scares me that we're overconfident, because it goes back to the Daily News days. It goes back to specifically Daily News Live. And being on Daily News Live the day before the Eagles, or the Friday before the Eagles played the Tampa Bay.
Oh.
And we are on there. And this city, for those who don't remember, what year was it, 202?
No, it was 03.
Okay. And for those that don't remember, this city was nuts, overly confident that the Eagles were going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's our Super Bowl
last game
coming.
at the Vet, and boom, we're going, and it's bam,
the whole
bam.
way. We had already had everything planned out.
Exactly. And on Daily News Live, Michael Barkan was having each and every writer from the paper come on. So we all went on for individual segments. Eddie Barkowitz and I went on together, and everybody's giving their predictions, and it's towards the end of the show, and everybody says Eagles win, Eagles win, Eagles win, and it comes Eddie Barkowitz, and he goes, sorry, Tampa Bay's going to win this game.
Just an absolute bucket of water.
And I was like,
right on everyone's head.
You got to
Eddie
be kidding me. And he's like, look, I'm not hoping for it. I'm just telling you, blah, 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 blah. And damn if he didn't get it right on the button.
Of course he did.
2 minutes ago, who did I just get a text from?
Don't tell me. Don't you even say anything negative.
He didn't know. It was something
I will text
about
him now.
It was something about this, him being on tomorrow and all that, and the stuff that's going on in the NBA. But I hope those two worlds aren't colliding right now.
No.
I just hope to God they are not.
Into existence.
You really did just speak that into existence.
Thank you.
I didn't. I'm just bringing up facts, man. That doesn't have anything to do with the game. Matt Breen was
Steward
the
of
one that
fact
said,
here.
I'm a little upset that so many people are confident that they win this game.
Not upset. We don't like to be that way.
Yeah, we're confused.
We all get a little uneasy
right?
when you feel too confident about something.
It's an unusual feeling.
Yeah.
I'm confident they're going to win tonight. I'm not over they're going to kill. I said that I think it's going to be a bigger win than many anticipate. I did look, Aim. Yesterday we talked about the line was 4.5. It was the biggest line of all four of the play-in games. It's been upped to 5.5.
People are excited. Listen, Joel Embiid.
Rozier being out.
Yes. Rozier out. Embiid in. Healthy shoot around today. Let's go.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid plays basketball. That's the theme of the day. He plays basketball. He's exceptionally good at it. As Tyrese Maxey likes to say, he's good at the basketball, and we're going to enjoy it tonight.
So, game starts. It's early on. You see something happen a couple of times in the game tonight. Say, let's go before the first time out. Okay, maybe even before then. Let's go first 5 minutes of the game. You see something not once, but a couple of times from the Sixers that makes you say, all right, cool. This is good. I have a few things spinning around my head. What would be maybe one of yours, Aim?
A Tyrese Maxey step back three.
All right.
Break that. Don't even think about bringing the zone out, because the zone won't come out till later, but don't even think about it. It's not going to work out well.
That was one of the things spinning around in my head.
Threes out the jump.
So a couple of threes. Boom, boom. Maxey hits him, and you're like, oh.
That's it.
Ray, what have you? Couple of things saying the first 5 minutes of the game that happens from this Sixers team.
I'm going to go back down the path that I know I'm going to frustrate myself for wanting it, but decisive Tobias Harris. Embiid gets the ball somewhere probably around the free throw line. They start to collapse on and kicks it out, and Tobias makes that first decision, whether it's he's open for that three and takes that three, or whether he takes it to the rim. If I get to see that early on, you have an aggressive Oubre. You have just Joel Embiid, the basketball player he is, Maxey, and Harris being decisive. Good luck trying to keep up with that scoring, Miami. Good luck. You're going to play whoever on Friday night.
Okay. Mine's like some of Amy's, and that is this. Here's what I'd like to see. I want to see Tyrese Maxey either being covered closely and drive by his man for one of those patented layups, and then a couple of minutes later, his man backing off of him a little bit because of that dribble drive, and he bangs a three, or vice versa. Yeah. His man's off him, he bangs a three. His man comes up and he goes.
So that just shows you how he can score, and then you know everything's firing on all cylinders.
Then it's head scratching.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even include Joel Embiid at all in there, which is probably, definitely, has to be one of those big, big factors. All right. We put all three of our heads together, and two of them didn't work. Mine and Amy's out the window as far as trying to give away these 2 tickets that we have for tonight's game. Sixers, Miami Heat, playing game, 7 o'clock at the Wells Fargo Center. A reminder, we will be doing pregame show. Myself, Pat Egan, D. Lynham will be at Bet Rivers, right on the concourse there. There's a bar there, Bet Rivers Bar, at like section 106, 107. We're going to be there from 6 to 7, taking you right into the game. But we have 2 tickets to give away, and here's exactly how we're going to do it.
All right, so you'll line up at 610-632-0975. We want to get your thoughts on the Sixers, of course. We want to get that feeling, a little bit of that excitement, that anticipation for tonight. But we said it was going to be Know the Show, relevant to 12:30 and beyond. Now, around sometime earlier in this last hour of the show, there was mention of the Nick Stauskas interview and the conversation that both Bob and Amy had with him. We mentioned a former 76er that Stauskas was able to come up with today. We want you to give us that former 76er that Stauskas was able to come up with, that we named by name, both with Stauskas back at 11:30 and then sometime in the last hour of the show. Now, again, 610-632-0975. Give us your Sixers thoughts, a little bit of your excitement. And then if you can come up with that Sixer, you'll be watching Sixers and Heat tonight.
I like it. Way to go, Ray. Way outdid me and you.
It was his was very specific without being too deep divey. It's very good. Very good.
He did come in and try to explain to me how to explain it to our listeners.
You do it.
And I was like, no, Ray, this is your angel. You run with it. I got to tell you, the 1 o'clock hour, it's brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Lyon Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors. For equipment, parts, and supplies for everything heating and cooling job, visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. Okay, when we get back, we got a lot of you on the line to tell us what you think about the Sixers tonight. We'll get your guesses in on who Nick Stauskas may have said. 2 tickets to give away. That and a whole lot more. Middays, Bob Cooney with Amy Fadul today, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers playing game tonight. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Summit Racing Equipment. Revive your ride at summitracing.com. Use promo code RADIO for $10 off in order of $100 or more. Exclusions apply. Offer ends May 5th, 2024. The 76ers will host the Heat tonight at the Wells Fargo Center at 7 o'clock in the NBA's play-in tournament game. As the winner of the game tonight gets the Knicks in the first round as the Eastern Conference's 7th seed. The loser gets the winner of Bulls-Hawks on Friday night, and the winner of that game then gets the 8th seed. But, of course, that's looking down the line. Just win tonight, you get the Knicks on Saturday. We will have a ton of coverage for you here on 97.5 The Fanatic. An extended pregame show starting at 6 o'clock with Bob Cooney, D. Lynham, and Pat Egan live from Wells Fargo Center. Get you ready for the matchup. The game, of course, can be heard right here at 7 o'clock on 97.5 The Fanatic. And then after the game, D. Lynham and Pat Egan break down everything that happened and take your reaction to it. Earlier today on the show, Nick Stauskas joined the program, talked all things 76ers, about this team, about this game. Catch that conversation one more time at 975thefanatic.com, as well as our conversation with Matt Breen of the Philadelphia Inquirer. The Phillies last night won 5-0. Ranger Suarez, complete game shutout, had 8 strikeouts. Christopher Sanchez gets the ball tonight at a 6 o'clock start against the Rockies. And the Flyers season came to an end last night. They lost to the Capitals 2-1. They were eliminated a few minutes before that game went final, with Detroit forcing overtime and ended up winning in a shootout over the Canadians. I'm Ray Dunn. Breaking sports news all day, every day is here. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Batalico, and Jen Scordo. The best show ever. Listen weekday afternoons 2 to 6. The Eagles, the Phillies, the Sixers, and the Flyers. We have you covered all day, every day. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey, at FanDuel Casino, we know the only thing better than a win is a free win. And that's why we made Reward Machine. It's the daily free-to-play game that gives you a chance to win up to $2,000 in casino bonus. We've already given away over $100 million in free bonuses, and we're just getting started. Every day at 6 p.m., you get 3 chances to spin the Reward Machine reels, and there are 3 ways to win. 1, match any 3 symbols for an instant win. 2, collect symbols each day for a chance to win weekly prizes. Or 3, win up to $2,000 if you collect 3 trophies. So what are you waiting for? FanDuel's already given away over $100 million to hundreds of thousands of people through Reward Machine. Download the FanDuel Casino app by going to FanDuel.com/Bob and start playing Reward Machine today. That's FanDuel.com/Bob. No purchase necessary, 21 plus and present in Pennsylvania. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable casino-only site credit that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/casino. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG.
This week's Pro to Watch is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. They're built to be the best. It's time for the NBA playoffs, and it's time for Joel Embiid to step up and lead the 76ers somewhere that they haven't been since 2001. His surgically repaired knee appears to have healed well, but the pressure on Joel and the Sixers might never be higher. The silver lining is that the supporting cast, featuring guys like Maxey and Kelly Oubre and Buddy Hield, have been forced into more critical moments in his absence. Their lives
and 975thefanatic.com.
Welcome back on this glorious hump day. Glorious because we have, I don't care if we deem it play-in, whatever. To me, it's playoff basketball. And it's tonight. It's at 7 o'clock. Sixers, Miami Heat. You can hear the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I am not as scared of Jimmy Butler as I used to be, Aim. I told you that yesterday. I think we were all fair. Haven't seen him done what he used to do as much as I used to see it.
Even like leading up to it. Like usually you see a little ramp up for Jimmy to be playoff Jimmy activated. You haven't seen that. And he'll have to carry everything. That's a lot. You mentioned the game last time. The only game he played against the Sixers, 40 minutes, 20 points. That's not a Jimmy Butler stat line. That's I want to win.
It was James Butler.
Yes. He's the adult in a room.
That didn't go over so well.
No, Jimmy was offended because he didn't.
Yes.
He realized his coach didn't know his actual name. But in fairness, most people would not know his name is just Jimmy. It's not James. It's not Jim. His name is actually Jimmy.
Yeah, that was wonky. That made, like, I was covering the team at the time, and it's like, okay, Brett was kind of making a joke, saying he played like an adult tonight, so he's not Jimmy, he's James. But then Butler comes out with, my name's Jimmy.
My name's Jimmy. Yeah, that's just, but that shows you Jimmy's when we're talking about idiosyncrasies and kind of weirdness, Jimmy's going to take the cake in that one.
Yes.
He's a weird cat.
Do you know Ricky's full first name?
Ricky.
Very good. Can't get past Amy.
Listen, do you know Ben Davis's first full name?
Alfred.
Mark Christopher.
Really? That came down to Ben.
His dad wanted to call him Ben, so he called him Ben.
So,
fun fact.
I had a cousin, speaking of like weird things, I had a cousin who passed away, and his daughter, who's my age, asked me to give the eulogy. For some reason, like 2 o'clock the night before, 2 a.m. the night before, having beer. She's like, oh, by the way, can you give the eulogy?
Oh.
And I was like, he has 3 kids. She goes, nah, we decided on you. So, yeah, okay, give the eulogy kind of off the top of my head. His nickname was Bub. His real name was Tom. He drank Bud Weiser. So when I was a kid, I thought, oh, we call him Bub because somebody couldn't pronounce Bud.
Right.
Or something like that. No, we're just such a dumb family that we went from Tom to Bub for some reason. Part of the eulogy got people laughing.
Hey, Bub.
And, yeah, that's just what we did. Okay, we got 2 tickets on the line here, Ray. On the line for tonight's Sixers-Miami game. Now, look, you don't win the tickets if you throw out a name. No, we want you to give us your thoughts on tonight's game, maybe even a prediction of what's going to happen, and then I will ask you for the name that we are looking for. And we're going to start off with Jason in Boyertown. Jason, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Bob, how are you doing today?
Doing great. How about you?
Oh, not too bad. I think today's game is going to come down to Maxey. I feel that Fultz is going to have a good game plan to control Embiid. It's really going to come down to Maxey and determine if he's really an NBA star or not. It's going to come down to the next game.
Do you like that? Do you like if the game comes to Maxey's shoulders to carry the Sixers for a win?
Yeah, I think I do. I think he's proven without Embiid in the game that he could take this team to the next level.
Okay. All right, we have a trivia question for the 2 Sixers tickets. It was at Nick Stauskas. I asked him who was a number 5 on that team. Who was his answer?
Chosen Randall?
That is incorrect, unfortunately, Jason. Apologize for that. Good try, but incorrect nonetheless. So let's go to Matt in Levittown. Matt, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Matt?
Nothing about get off of a speaker real quick. Sorry, I'm at work. So yeah, I am super stoked about the Sixers. I just think they're gonna be able to power through it. I hope Joel has a good game, but I'm looking for Toby to do something special. I know everybody's off Toby now, but I think he can make a difference in this game.
I don't think we're off Toby. We're expecting more from Toby. Not off Toby. We off Toby?
No.
We're not off Toby.
No, I just say whatever like that. People were saying put him on the bench, and he's not doing. I expect something good out of him tonight. I'm hoping for that.
All right. So that's your opinion. You think it's easy win for you for the Sixers?
No, I think it's going to be close. I believe it's going to be a close game. I'm a little nervous way more about this game than almost any other matchup coming up. I don't like the Knicks matchup either, but I think they have a better chance against the Knicks than the Heat. We'll see.
Matt, listen, I have to I got to put you on hold for 1 second, Matt.
Yeah.
All right. I might have misheard.
Well, he mispronounced.
Okay. All right. So
you're
coming in here. We had it.
To me, that seems like a Google instead of a listen, because if you listened it, to it.
Oh, does Amy have a point here?
That's just me. When he said
Amy's got a point.
When he said it, that sounds like a Google. Because if you remember, Ray, I don't think in the question you gave the jersey number.
I did not.
You just did.
I just did. I shouldn't have done that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. There was 2 of them, but that's why it came up. But to me, that seems like that's a Google instead of a listen, just because the name is an interesting name, the way you might pronounce it.
Matt, what's your answer? Name that Nick Stauskas said was a 16-17 teammate of his.
To me, it's Chason Randall is the guy's name.
All right, Matt, hold on 1 second. We will get your information from you. It was kind of a judge's thing that we had to do here, and the judge chose that.
Yeah.
So that's where we went. I think it's amazing that
it's Chason Randall. Yeah, it's like Jason with a CH.
I think it's amazing that Nick Stauskas had 21 teammates that year.
21.
Like
and
that.
you remembered both number 5s. Well, we prompted him for the second number.
Yeah, we had to prompt him for the second. Some of the names that were on that team were just. You had a Sergio Rodriguez.
That was also the year I believe they'd signed guys just to get to the floor of the salary cap.
That
the
was
floor.
That was exactly
Not the ceiling,
right.
The floor.
I remember
they never even played.
I remember you and I being in the Sixers locker room.
You're looking around.
Around, and the players like calling us over at points and saying, are we going to get there? Like, am I going to get the money that is owed us?
Am I actually going to? Am I a part of this team?
Yeah, I mean that's literally what it was coming down to, because they had to reach that floor.
Got to reach the
of
floor.
what was going to happen. So
You're
on that
signing
team,
bodies.
here's some guys that you had. You had Jared Bayless on that team. Justin Anderson, remember him? Real
UVA.
Stocky. Yeah, that's right, UVA guy. Jeremy Grant, who's still in the league. Let's see if we can find some names that are kind of different.
Remember him?
Tiago Splitter was definitely on that team. We already mentioned Alex Poitras.
Hey, Kentucky, Poitras,
Yeah,
put a
I
little
know.
respect on that name.
Uh-huh.
Wait, an all-process era Sixer, Hollis Thompson.
Hollis Thompson.
He's on that team, right?
Hollis Thompson was absolutely on that team. Hollis Thompson, who went to a high school that competed against my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law was an athletic director. He played against high school against my brother-in-law's
fact.
high school. Yeah, so Hollis and I would talk about that an awful lot. Of course, Nick Stauskas, Sergio Rodriguez, who I met. My God, the names on here. TLC, Timothy Luau Cabarro. Gotta love that. Sean Long. Don't remember that name at all. But, yeah, those were just some of the great processors that you had.
Little G.
Going through. Yeah, that's right. But, so, Aim, as this day is going on, as we've continued to talk about it, confidence level still there?
Still there. Still.
Yeah.
Our last caller thought maybe a closer game. I don't think that. I don't know that I think that it's going to be a close game, but I do like, if there is going to be a close game, I like the Sixers' chances. They've got 3 guys that have shown they can close out games. I'm going to include Oubre in there. His aggressiveness will pay off at the end. Actually, you could probably throw in Kyle Lowry. Your X factor is a guy that can close out a game. But you know Embiid can. You know Tyrese Maxey can. You got a last shot. You got those guys. And you've got I love a good play call.
Uh-huh.
I love a good play call. And I love good inbounds.
Oh, my God. I've never seen somebody so enamored with an
Gotta get you
inbounds
the
play
shirt.
than Amy.
2 of them. 2 perfect inbounds plays from Nico Batum.
My favorite inbounds plays were the ones that ended up with the ball in my hands.
Well, of course they were.
Those were so when you're inbounding the ball, we had to look at the coach because he would always call the play. Sometimes I'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said 2,
it was,
not
it was
3."
my bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry that
Well, I'm
I was the
taking
one
it
that got
anyway.
the jump
Bing, bang,
shot. Yeah, I was the one. In grammar school, though, our coach let us call our own plays. My God, I must have ran the 3 play, which was somebody comes up and gives a pick to the kid with the ball, which is me. And then you shoot it.
Yeah, were you the all black hole team? Just the ball went over to you and you never saw it again?
No, I was never. I don't think I could ask my teammates who are still my best friends now from high school. I don't think I was a ball hog at all. No, I don't.
There's definitely members of the NBA.
Now,
right
Rock is not happy with me.
Well, no, because he's wrong.
Yeah, so in the group text, it's, Coon threw Rock under the bus again.
Well, it wasn't, yeah. Well, yeah, you did.
I did, but I wanted to put it out there more for your intelligent thoughts on him comparing Ben Simmons, prime Ben Simmons, to prime Tyrese Maxey.
I think we're still in prime Tyrese Maxey. First year of Tyrese Maxey was not prime Tyrese Maxey, so that's not a fair comparison.
I think he gave the first 3 years of Simmons, though, also.
No, he couldn't have.
No, you don't think? I don't know. I have to look at it closer.
Because he wasn't. No, I don't think so. Well, maybe it was. I don't think it was, though.
I don't know. Okay. So tonight, don't forget, we will be doing pregame show from the Wells Fargo Center. It'll be Pat Egan. It'll be myself and D-line. And we're going to be at Bet Rivers. I guess you call it a bar. You've been there, ain't
Yeah,
Bet?
it's just like
it's
like
a bar
lounge.
with a big
Maybe they
Bet
call it
Rivers sign
like
over
a
top.
lounge. I think they call it like Bet Rivers Lounge.
Or is that upstairs?
Well, no, I don't know. They have beverages and snacks.
Yes, it's on snacks right next to it. Yes,
Right.
on the concourse.
Adjacent.
There at 106, 107, right around there. So we'll be there. I'm probably going to be there early, Ray.
I'll
'cause
stop by.
That's how I roll.
I've decided I'm not going home. I'm just going to go straight from
I'm
where I'm
going straight in.
working
Is that right?
later. Yeah, I think I'm just going to drive right down. I don't like
Aw.
driving, but I think I'm going to drive right down.
Oh, good man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll come say hi.
All right, yeah.
I want to be there
so-
to see you guys. You know, I'm going to be there for the game, but I want to make it
I'll
down
stop
there
by.
early enough.
Yeah, I'm going to go down and go to the press conferences. So Nick Nurse usually talks or does talk for a 7:00 game. It's 5:15. Then you get opposing coach talking. Then locker rooms open. Dip into there before running upstairs and getting to our pregame show at 6:00 tonight. Now, here's another thing you can do. You put on our pregame show, but then you put on Amy on the
Right.
TV, and you
6:30.
watch Amy while you're listening to us, and you can do it all.
The
You
beauty
can
of
do
it
it
all.
all at once. So, your colleagues on that pregame show,
Jim and Mark.
yes, are they confident?
Confident.
Like, oh, they are.
Confident. Yeah,
Okay.
Jim, we talked after the last game when we knew it was going to be the Heat, and he kind of talked his way through, like, listen, yeah, we know Spoelstra and Heat, and this big bad team that's always been kind of like the thorn in the Sixers' side, and then you've got Jimmy Butler and playoff Jimmy. And I just looked at him, I turned the tables, I said, yeah, but couldn't you say the same about the Sixers? That's an excellent point, Dane.
Very good. I love it.
He's
So a
on
lot
board.
of confidence
Confident.
everywhere when it comes to your Sixers Miami Heat game tonight. Okay, when we get back, before the best show ever with Tyrone, Ricky, and Jen, we're going to put a wrap on this because, Aim, this isn't the first time you've ever heard this before. Closing time is at 2 o'clock.
That's right.
Yeah, you know when the lights start to flicker, it's about to go. Well,
Finish
on
your
this
drink.
show, these lights are about to flicker. So we'll wrap up. We'll give you our predictions on tonight's game as far as the Sixers and Heat and whatever you may have to say. We'll catch in with you, too. 610-632-0975. Midday shows, Bob Cooney with Amy Fadul today, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The insight on baseball you need to hear.
6 degree, and it is that Amy's mother-in-law was the head girls basketball coach when I was a freshman through, I believe, my senior year in high school.
They won it all.
Right. Yeah, they won a state title. When I believe when I was a freshman was when they won the state. So I was a sophomore when they won the state title. So now Amy just drops this nugget on me, Ray, as we're coming back.
I thought you knew this. I thought we've talked about this before.
I know we have not.
I mean,
because I was just over another cousin's house and her name came up and whatever. Anyway, Amy says to me, and she goes, yeah, and isn't it so funny that my mother-in-law's best friend is your cousin? And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, such and such, such and such. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Right? I was just talking. It's a cousin that, unfortunately, I don't keep in touch with. It was, anyway. But nothing bad. It's just, you know.
When you have a large family.
Yeah. That is so funny. Well, tell her I said hi.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll see her again soon.
Oh, my God. That is hysterical. All right, Steve. Boy, from my old town. Steve in Washington Township. You're on 97.5 for the Fanatic. Steve, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, Steve.
Doing good. How are you?
Good. So I had a key player for tonight. I'm thinking Buddy Hield in that zone defense will knock down a couple threes. I'm thinking about 15 to 18 points from him.
All right, Steve, do you want to see it or do they have to have it? Which one?
Probably both. Probably both.
All right. I mean, it is a good way to bust out of the zone, is to knock down a couple of threes.
It is. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. It's going to be a case where, though, if Buddy Hield is in the game, does Eric Spoelstra not see that and bust out of that zone and say, no, when Hield's in there, no zone?
Or not. I mean, I don't know if you can go away. But then the match is truly on.
The chess match begins.
Because then it's like check, and then now you're checking him, and what are we doing? And I don't think they're going to get into that. But I would think that there's going to be a spark. Maybe there's a time where the Sixers, maybe their lead is dwindled. Let's get a little boost. You put Buddy Hield in. Then you have to have, either they have to react on the court right then and there, or you make Spoelstra burn a timeout. I mean, I think there'll be definitely a lot of moves in this one. But I think Hield is an unknown for this one. I think he'll get more play in this series than he would maybe going forward, just because of this game, just because of how the matchups are with that zone and three. But if he, Nick Nurse, we've seen him reward players. You do well. Looks like you're going on a roll. Let's keep it going. But in the Knicks series, if they get that, when they get that point, you wonder where Hield and this whole rotation is going to go.
Yeah,
right.
And it's an answer or a question that might not be answered throughout all the series. The way Nick Nurse goes, he has so many different things he can do. I thought Nick Stauskas brought up an interesting point against the zones. Now, Miami loves to run a matchup zone. A matchup zone, for people out there that, might not be familiar with it, it's a zone with man principles. What it is you're an area and you're switching off as far as where the offensive players go. I have him. He comes through that way. Well, then you're picking him up there. That's what it is. You're matching up with the player in your area. So it's a zone with man principles. I like what Nick Stauskas said. I think he was speaking to the matchup zone, and you run your normal man-to-man offense, where it's probably cut-throughs, it's probably high pick and rolls, whatever. The tough part about it is, as you're the picker and you're holding on to that man thinking, okay, I'm getting Tyrese Maxey free from his man. Well, no, that man that you picked just stays with Joel Embiid. The man that wasn't Embiid stays there, and that's where your little mix-up comes with the matchup zone that, that's not open.
No one moved
Time
with
goes
them.
Exactly. Time goes off
You're
the
in
clock.
your little area.
Then you're in this whole little kind of thing. So what you can't see tonight in that matchup zone, when you watch it closely, you can't see confusion by the Sixers.
Number one word that came to my mind. You cannot see. You don't have anybody looking over and thinking, "Uh-oh, how did he get there?"
Exactly, Aim.
How did he get there? Why is he so open? Where's his guy? The people are where they are, and you just want to have a sneaky guy. That's when I went back to that game, the last game, because we talked about offensive rebounds. 16 offensive rebounds from the Heat, 8 to the Sixers. 16 is a huge amount of offensive rebounds. Bam Adebayo absolutely crushes the boards on that end, as does Kevin Love, because they're always, that's a part of that way that they play, but they're always where the ball needs to be. It's the same thing when they run defense. They're always where they need to be.
Yeah, so a very interesting matchup tonight. As we're talking matchup zone. But I talked earlier, my X factor to the game is Kyle Lowry. I just think we have to watch out. He needs to provide that little extra thing here and there. I think the Sixers are going to win tonight. I think Joel Embiid will have a game. I think Tyrese Maxey's going to score some points. I don't think it's going to be as easy as we've seen, although, as you mentioned earlier, He's the only guy that has scored 30-plus 3 times against the Heat this year.
Yep.
So we'll see. There's so many ways that this could play out. Aim, surmise it for me right now. How is this game tonight going to play out? How is the ending going to come about?
I think it's going to be a double-digit win. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout, but I think it'll be a double-digit win, a comfortable win for the Sixers. I think that they can go away. Maybe it'll be a point where you can get some more rest from Embiid in the fourth quarter and then bring him in back late like they did before, where he comes back with the under 7 minutes. Give him a little bit of a breather, get everything set up for the next series. You want everybody as healthy as possible. I'm not saying limit his minutes, but watch the tenor of the game. If it's in hand and your second unit is doing well enough, let's not rush him back. Paul Reed's holding his own out there. Great. You need a little bit more defensive presence. Mo Bamba gets a little bit of run. Go that way. I think you can spell him for maybe times tonight because of the way that the lead is going to be built. It's a game of runs. The Heat can score in bunches because of the way they shoot the three. So can the Sixers. Sixers can absolutely score in bunches, not necessarily relying upon the three, but in the way that they slash the basket with a guy like Kelly Oubre, obviously. So I think that there's going to be a lot of runs in this game. I think the Sixers have a comfortable lead at times, so you can spell Embiid more, and I think that they close out this one strong. The last 5 minutes, they take over.
I like that the Sixers are going to have Joel Embiid for the first 12 minutes of the game. That's what they build up to. Even though he sat out the other day, he's ready to go. That full 12 minutes is what Nick Nurse likes to do with him. It's a strategy that I love from the beginning of the year. Never had been done before with Joel. I love that he's going to play those solid first 12 minutes, and he gets his little rest and then comes back in for like the last 6-7 minutes of the second, all the third. I love that part of it. I think tonight's game could be a really strong Sixers win if they have a decided factor in the three-point line. And I don't just mean out shooting Miami. I mean that Miami doesn't get a lot of open looks. Mm-hmm. And I mean that when Miami does go zone, that they move the ball well enough to find open people to get open looks. Because I'm confident that Buddy Hield, Tyrese Maxey, others, even Nick Batum and sometime hopefully Tobias Harris, can knock down those threes tonight. I don't think the game's going to be decided by three-pointers, but I think it's going to be a big part of the game. But I am confident they're going to win by double digits. We thank you. Stay tuned for the best show ever. We'll talk to you tonight pregame and then tomorrow 10 a.m. This is Bob Cooney. Amy Fadul, thank you for being here today. We'll see you tomorrow.